You've probably heard that phrase before, right? Unified school district. Maybe you saw it on a local news report, or maybe even on your property tax bill. But what does that unified part actually mean? Well, today we're going to break that down, and we'll use a real-world example to make it all make sense.
It really all starts with a simple question. What's the invisible force holding all of a community's schools together? I mean, you've got the elementary schools, the middle schools, the high schools. What's the glue? The answer is kind of hiding in plain sight. It's the school district.
So before we can even get to the whole unified thing, we got to go back to basics. Let's start with the foundation. What exactly is a school district anyway?
Okay, so at its most basic level, a school district is a government entity. Its job is super specific, to provide public education to all the students within a certain area. You can think of it as the fundamental building block for our public schools, kind of like the blueprint for how education gets organized.
And you know, it's just as important to know what it's not. A school district isn't the same as a county office of education, and it's definitely not a charter school. Nope, those are totally different animals with their own set of rules. Understanding that difference is really key here.
All right, so we've got the foundation down. Now let's add that one little word that changes everything. Unified. This single word completely transforms how a student experiences their education, from day one all the way to graduation day.
And this slide just lays it all out so clearly. On one side, you've got fragmented districts. Just imagine, the elementary school system has its own rules and leadership. The middle school has a different set. And the high school? Yep, another one. It can get pretty choppy, right? But then you look at a unified district. We're talking about a single, seamless path. It's designed to be one continuous journey for a student, with no jarring disconnects between grades.
So how do they pull that off? Well, it really boils down to two main things. First, the grade span. A unified district covers the whole shebang, from the little kids in TK all the way through 12th grade. And second, and this is the real kicker, is the single governance. One superintendent and one board make all the big decisions for all the schools. The curriculum actually lines up from grade to grade, policies are consistent, and they can share resources way more effectively across the whole system.
Okay, so all this theory is great, but what does it look like in the real world? To really get a feel for this, we're going to look at a specific case study, the Barstow Unified School District. Now, like any public school district, Barstow Unified has a legal job to do. Its main responsibility is to provide an education in what's called the least restrictive environment. Now, that's a bit of a legal-sounding term, but what it really boils down to is that students with disabilities should be in class with their non-disabled friends as much as possible. It's really a foundational promise of public education.
But, you know, it's not just about checking legal boxes. What's the real heartbeat of a district? It's their philosophy. It's what they truly believe. And that belief ends up shaping every single decision they make.
And for Barstow Unified, it all comes down to this one super powerful idea. You can forget the bureaucracy, forget the buildings, forget all the other stuff. The central interest, the only interest that truly matters, is the learner. That right there, that's their North Star.
And you can see how that main idea is held up by these core values. They believe learning is something you do, not just something you get. They understand that experiencing success, even the small wins, is what builds momentum for a student. But maybe most importantly, they believe quality education isn't just the school's job. They see it as a mission for the entire community. It's about building a whole support system, an ecosystem really, around every single kid. So you've got the unified structure, you've got this awesome student-first philosophy. So how do you pull all that together into a mission that actually, works?
Well, it all starts with a very practical goal. Because think about it. Before you can even get to the math and the history, you have to get the environment right. So the goal is to make every single school a place that is fair, that is equitable, that is safe, and most of all, an environment where learning can actually happen and flourish.
And boom, here it is. This is where everything we've talked about, the structure, the philosophy, the goal, it all comes together in this one mission statement. See, it's not just about good grades or test scores. It's about providing quality educational experiences that allow students to reach their full potential and then go on to make positive contributions to their community. That is the ultimate promise of a unified system.
So I want to leave you with this thought to chew on. When one single, cohesive mission follows a student from their very first day of kindergarten all the way to their last day of high school, how does that unified vision shape not just their school years, but their whole journey into becoming an adult? It's a pretty powerful concept, and that's the real magic behind that word, unified.
So, have you ever wondered what your rights actually are when it comes to student walkouts? It can feel like a really tricky balance, right? You want to make your voice heard, but you also have to follow school rules. Well, today we're going to break down exactly how one school district, Barstow Unified, handles this whole thing and what it all means for you. Okay, so first things first. Let's start with the foundation of this entire policy. The school district doesn't just jump into a list of rules and restrictions. Nope, it actually starts with a core principle, your fundamental right to express yourself.
This quote really gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's a super clear statement that your voice matters and that your constitutional right to speak up is something they actively support. This whole thing isn't about silencing students, it's about creating a framework for that expression.
All right, so the district supports free speech. That sounds great. But what does that actually look like during a normal school day? Let's dive into the district's official guidelines to see how they actually put this into practice. And this right here is where they draw a very clear line in the sand. On the one hand, you have expression that's totally supported, as long as it's peaceful, respectful, and doesn't interrupt class. But on the other hand, leaving campus for a walkout, that's not condoned. The key difference really comes down to location and disruption.
So here's the bottom line, the direct consequence. If you leave campus to participate in a walkout, it will be marked as an unexcused absence. According to the district, this is a firm rule. No ifs, ands, or buts.
But you might be wondering, why an unexcused absence? Is that just an arbitrary school rule? Actually, no. The district's hands are kind of tied here by the very specific language in the California Education Code. Let's take a closer look at what the law actually says. So, the state law is really clear on this. It allows for just one excused absence per school year for a student to participate in a specific kind of event. Only one.
And here is where the details really matter. The law has a very specific definition for what counts as a civic or political event. And if you look at the examples, voting, working at polls, going to a political forum, you can see they're all pretty distinct, structured activities.
And this is the legal core of the entire policy. A walkout or a protest is simply not on that list of valid reasons in the Education Code. Because of that, the school legally cannot mark it as an excused absence. But, the district's policy isn't just about following the letter of the law. It's also built on something absolutely fundamental, a non-negotiable responsibility, keeping students safe. This is a really critical point to understand. A school-sanctioned event is something the school has organized, planned for, and approved, like a field trip or a football game. A walkout just doesn't fall into that category.
And because it's not a school-sanctioned event, there's a direct and really important consequence. No school staff will be there to supervise. No teachers, no administrators, no security. Once students are off school grounds, they're no longer under the school's watch.
And this is the bottom line. It's as simple as this. Once a student walks off school grounds for an event like this, the district's legal and practical ability to keep them safe is gone. The school is responsible for students on its campus, but that responsibility ends at the property line. So with all of this in mind, the right to express yourself, the rules on attendance, and these major safety concerns, the district is really encouraging families to just have an open conversation about these issues at home.
These are pretty much the three pillars of that conversation.
Families are encouraged to talk about how important it is to make your voice heard, while also weighing that against the value of being in class and, maybe most critically, the real safety risks of being off campus without any supervision. Today, we're going to walk through the Barstow Unified School District's policy on immigration enforcement. The whole point of this is to make it super clear so every student, parent, and staff member knows what rights and protections are. So, let's get into it.
Right from the very beginning, the policy lays down this powerful statement. And look, this isn't just some fluffy intro language, it's the bedrock for everything else that follows. It's making one thing crystal clear. Schools are safe zones for learning, period. This commitment to being a welcoming place, no matter someone's immigration status, really drives every other rule in the policy.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to break this all down into 4 key areas. First, how the district protects your private information. Then, the specific rules for immigration agents. After that, what school staff are required to do. And finally, we'll cover your rights and the resources available to you.
All right, let's dive into one of the most important parts of this whole policy, your privacy. This is all about how the district keeps your personal information and your family's information safe and secure.
So this is the big question, right? And the policy has a very, very clear answer. This really gets to the heart of how the district creates that safe environment, because it starts by limiting what kind of information they can even ask for in the first place.
The policy is super specific here. It says school staff are just not allowed to ask you about your immigration status, ask for any documents about it, or share your school records. They also can't just let agents wander into private areas like classrooms or school buses. Now, there is one major exception to all these rules.
And that one big exception is a judicial warrant. Let's be really clear about what that means. We're not talking about just any request or some piece of paper. This is a formal court order that has been signed by a judge, which sets an incredibly high legal bar before any information can be shared.
Okay, so that covers privacy. But what actually happens if an immigration agent shows up at a school? It can be a scary thought, right? Well,
Call the meeting to order at 4 o'clock. We all stand and we'll salute the flag. Put your right hand over your heart. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have Ms. Givens, Ms. Perea, Mr. Useless, Mr. Heldreth, and myself, all present. I don't know why I get stuck on yours. The board meeting is a business meeting held in public forum to comply with the Brown Act. It is not a town hall meeting with the board. This is the time for citizens to present problems or questions they feel the board should discuss. Individuals are encouraged to address the full board, not individual board members. The law prohibits the board from taking action on any item not on the agenda. Requests to speak cards should be filled out in advance and presented to the superintendent's executive assistant. Instruction for submitting remote public comment can be found on website busdk12.com under the tab Board of Trustees. The board has a policy of limiting the speakers to not more than 3 minutes. The board's limits the time for public input for each item or topic to 15 minutes or 5 individual requests to speak. The president may review and submit requests to speak or take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask the additional person speak only if there's something new to add. Citizens who have comments on or against a particular issue may be asked to provide a written statement for the record or to sign an agreement with the board comments for another citizen. Yep. All names are memorialized in minutes. With the board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. For the record, please state your name.
None at this time.
None at this time. We will adjourn for closed session at 4:03.
Super clear, so every student, parent, and staff member knows what their rights and protections are. So let's get into it.
Right from the very beginning, the policy lays down this powerful statement. And look, this isn't just some fluffy intro language, it's the bedrock for everything else that follows. It's making one thing crystal clear. Schools are safe zones for learning, period. This commitment to being a welcoming place, no matter someone's immigration status, really drives every other rule in the policy.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to break this all down into 4 key areas. First, how the district protects your private information. Then, the specific rules for immigration agents. After that, what school staff are required to do. And finally, we'll cover your rights and the resources available to you.
All right, let's dive into one of the most important parts of this whole policy, your privacy. This is all about how the district keeps your personal information and your family's information safe and secure. So this is the big question, right? And the policy has a very, very clear answer. This really gets to the heart of how the district creates that safe environment, because it starts by limiting what kind of information they can even ask for in the first place. The policy is super specific here. It says school staff are just not allowed to ask you about your immigration status, ask for any documents about it, or share your school records. They also can't just let agents wander into private areas like classrooms or school buses. Now, there is one major exception to all these rules.
And that one big exception is a judicial warrant. Let's be really clear about what that means. We're not talking about just any request or some piece of paper. This is a formal court order that has been signed by a judge, which sets an incredibly high legal bar before any information can be shared.
Okay, so that covers privacy. But what actually happens if an immigration agent shows up at a school? It can be a scary thought, right? Well, the policy has a clear protocol for this exact situation, designed to take all the guesswork and uncertainty out of it.
And really, it all boils down to this. You can see the 2 scenarios side by side. On the left, if there's no valid warrant, school staff must deny agents entry. That's the rule. But on the right, if an agent comes with that valid judicial warrant we just talked about, staff can't get in their way. That warrant is the key that changes the entire response. So that leads to the next logical question, which is, what are school employees actually supposed to do? The policy gives them a really clear step-by-step playbook so that there's a consistent protective response across the entire district. And the key word here, honestly, is protocol. A teacher or a staff member at the front desk isn't expected to make these huge decisions all by themselves. No way. The policy makes sure that any kind of request is immediately escalated up a formal chain of command. And here's exactly what that protocol looks like. Step 1. An agent makes a request. Step 2. The staff member who gets that request does not act on it. Instead, Step 3, it gets reported immediately to the superintendent. And then finally, the superintendent lets the school board know, all while making sure everyone's personal information is kept confidential. It's a system designed for careful handling at the very highest level.
We've gone over privacy and the protocols, but now let's talk about what this all means for you, for the students and the families. This part is all about empowerment and laying out the rights you have and the resources available.
This right here is a really powerful and direct protection. It means the district's resources, their computers, their data, their files, cannot be used to create any kind of list or registry that singles people out because of their immigration status or where their family comes from. It's a fundamental guard against profiling.
And these rights are guaranteed for every single student. It's all about making sure you have equal opportunities, that you're protected from bullying or intimidation, and that you know you have the right to refuse to provide information about your immigration status. And of course, all of this is built on that core right to a free public education, no matter what.
And crucially, these rights aren't just words on a page. They have teeth. The policy gives you a tool for accountability. If you ever feel that these protections have been ignored or violated, you can use the district's uniform complaint procedures to file a formal complaint and have it investigated.
And that really brings us full circle. This policy is about so much more than a set of rules. It's about actively creating a community where people feel safe and trusted. You know, if you're a parent, there are few things more worrying than finding out your child is having a tough time at school. But let's get right into it. When does a simple conflict cross that line into actual bullying? Today, we're going to break down a clear, research-based plan that will help you figure out what's really happening and give you the tools you need to support your child. So this is it, right? This is the first and honestly the most critical question parents face. Acknowledging that your child's feelings are hurt is always step one, for sure. But there's a really specific line where teasing becomes something much, much more serious. So how can you, as a parent, actually spot the difference?
Well, the official definition gives us 3 key ingredients to look for. It's really helpful to think of it this way. Bullying isn't just a simple disagreement. It has to have a power imbalance, there has to be a clear intent to cause harm, and, this is a big one, it's usually not a one-time thing. It's repeated.
And seeing it side by side like this makes it so clear. You see, in a general conflict, the kids are more or less on equal footing. But with bullying, nope. One child is using their power, whether that's being physically bigger or having more social clout, to target someone they see as weaker. And yeah, teasing can accidentally go too far sometimes, but the actual goal of bullying is to hurt someone and to do it over and over again.
Okay, so if we really want to stop bullying, we've got to understand that this isn't a one-person job. Not at all. Creating a truly safe school takes a whole team, a whole community, where every single person knows the part they have to play.
It really starts with the adults. We're talking teachers, principals, custodians, every staff member. They're the first line of defense. Their job is to be watching, to step in the second they see something, to never just brush off a kid's report as drama, and to be present in those places like playgrounds and hallways where bullying tends to happen. They really do set the tone for the entire school.
But here's where the real power is, with the other students, the bystanders. They are the vast majority, and they can change everything. When they make the choice to tell an adult, or even just to not laugh along, they completely strip the bully of their audience and their power. And just offering a kind word to someone who is targeted, that can make all the difference. Students can literally change the culture of their school from the inside out.
All right, let's shift gears and talk about your action plan. If you find out your child is being bullied, how you react in those first few moments is so important. Here's what to do first to give them the support they desperately need.
Before you pick up the phone, before you do anything else, your number one job is to be a safe place for your child. Just listen. Let them tell you the whole story without jumping in. The most powerful messages you can send right now are, "This is not your fault. You deserve to be treated with respect, and I've got your back, and we will figure this out together." That reassurance, it's everything.
Okay, this piece of advice right here is absolutely critical. Once you've provided that emotional support, it's time to get practical. Write down everything. What happened, when it happened, where it happened, who was there. This documentation is your superpower. It turns a general concern into a specific, factual report that the school can actually act on.
So now you've got your child's story, and you've got your records all documented. It's time to partner with the school. And approaching this as a collaboration, not a confrontation, is hands down the best way to get a good outcome.
Following these steps gives you a clear, structured path forward. You report it right away and set up a meeting. In that meeting, you calmly lay out the facts from your records. And really, your main goal is to ask one simple question. What's our plan to work together to make sure my child is safe? See how that frames it as a shared problem? And always, always remember, you do have rights if things don't get better.
And this just goes to show how powerful those rights can be. In a lot of places, there are specific laws designed to protect students. California's Education Code, for instance, makes it clear that a child's safety is the top priority, even giving parents the option to get a fresh start at a new school if the bullying can't be stopped.
So, responding to incidents is obviously crucial, but the real endgame, the ultimate goal, is to create a school culture where bullying just can't thrive in the first place. And that requires a proactive, school-wide game plan.
So, what does one of these proactive, safe schools actually look like? Well, it's got a clear anti-bullying policy that everybody knows about. It invests in training its staff. It actually teaches kids skills like empathy and how to resolve conflicts. And it creates safe, anonymous ways for students to report problems without being scared. These aren't just fuzzy ideas, they're concrete actions that build a real culture of respect.
And a document like this, it's not just a piece of paper in a file cabinet. A district's formal written policy is a public promise. It sets clear expectations for everybody, students, teachers, and parents, and basically says keeping our kids safe is our #1 priority. It's the official playbook for prevention.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. Because at the end of the day, building a culture of respect, well, that isn't just up to the schools, is it? It's a conversation and a commitment that involves every single one of us. Because every child, everywhere, deserves to feel safe.
Okay, let's talk about cell phones in school. Okay, let's talk about cell phones in school. It's a huge topic, and it affects pretty much everyone: students, parents, teachers. Today, we're going to break down the official mobile device policy for the Barstow Unified School District, so there's no confusion about what the rules actually are.
You know, the policy document itself kicks off with this line that it really gets to the heart of the matter. We all know how attached we are to our phones, but in a classroom, they can be a massive distraction. So the real challenge is finding that sweet spot, right? That balance between being connected and actually concentrating on learning. And that's exactly what this policy is trying to do. Find that balance. So we're going to walk through the official rules step by step. The goal here is to make sure everyone, from students to parents to the staff, is on the same page. All right, let's dive into the most important part, the one everyone really wants to know about. What happens during class time? This is really the core of the whole policy. Okay, so the rule itself, it's super simple and direct. When you're in class, your device has to be turned completely off. And I mean off, not just on silent or vibrate. Then it has to be put away, out of sight. And this doesn't just mean your phone. We're talking smartwatches, tablets, basically any mobile device you've got. So the district gives you 3 clear options for where to put your device. Some classrooms might use those yonder pouches or have a special sealed cabinet. The third option, and probably the most common, is to just keep it in your backpack or purse. But, and this is the key detail, you cannot touch it or access it during class. It has to stay out of sight and hopefully out of mind. Okay, so we've covered all the don'ts. But what about the do's? When can you actually use your device? Because this policy isn't a total ban, there are some very specific exceptions. The general rule of thumb is pretty flexible, actually. Before school starts, during your lunch break, and after that final bell rings for the day, you can use your device on campus. The only catch is you still have to follow all the other school rules while you're using it. Pretty straightforward. Now, what about during class time? Well, the policy lists 4 very clear situations where it's okay. First, in a real emergency. Second, if a teacher gives you direct permission, maybe for a specific lesson. Third, if you have a medical need that's documented by a doctor. And finally, if it's required as part of a student's individualized education program, or IEP. Of course, rules are just words on a page without enforcement. So, what happens if a student decides not to follow the policy? Let's take a look at the consequences.
It really boils down to 2 main things. First, the student could face disciplinary action. And second, a staff member can temporarily confiscate the device. Now, it's really important to know that if your device is taken, the policy says it will be stored securely until it can be returned.
And here's a crucial point. The policy's reach isn't just limited to the classroom or even the school grounds. On-campus misuse is pretty obvious, right? But the rules also cover off-campus situations if that use ends up seriously disrupting school or threatens the safety of other students or staff. That's a really big deal to remember. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. This last part covers some incredibly important stuff about privacy, device searches, and who's responsible if something goes wrong. This is the fine print everyone really needs to understand. And this brings us to a huge question, probably one you're already thinking about. Can a principal or a teacher just decide to search your phone? Well, the policy is very, very specific about this. A school official can only search a student's device if one of 3 things is true. They have permission from a parent, they have a legal warrant,
Or, and this is a very high bar, there's a genuine emergency that involves immediate danger of death or serious injury. So no, they can't just search it on a whim.
And here is the final, absolutely critical piece of information for every single family. When a student brings a device to school, they are doing it at their own risk. The district makes it crystal clear that they are not responsible if that device gets lost, stolen, or damaged.
So, there you have it. That's the Barstow school phone policy from top to bottom. It's a clear attempt to cut down on distractions while still making room for emergencies and the way we communicate today.
So, today we're going to talk about something that's really shaking up how schools think about student behavior. It's a framework called PBIS, and at its core, it's all about one powerful idea: focusing on prevention instead of just reaction.
Okay, so to really get why this is such a big deal, let's start with a scene I'm sure we can all picture. Imagine a classroom. It's getting kind of late in the day. Everyone's a little restless. And then, yep, a spitball goes flying across the room.
And what happens next? Well, it's pretty much what you'd expect. The teacher sees it, gets frustrated, and that student is sent straight to the principal's office. That's the classic playbook, right? It's how schools have dealt with stuff like this for, well, forever.
But what if that whole scene just didn't have to happen? What if the goal wasn't just to punish the action, but to stop it from ever happening in the first place?
And that's exactly where this whole different approach comes into play. It's called PBIS, which stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports. And really, the most important word there is supports. So what is this thing really? Well, think of PBIS like an operating system for the entire school, and it applies to every student. It's not some special treatment or therapy. It's a whole framework designed to create a positive, safe environment by getting out ahead of problems before they even start.
And this right here, this is the absolute core idea that makes PBIS tick. It looks at behavior as a skill that you can actually teach. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't throw a kid into an algebra class and just expect them to get it without teaching them first, right? PBIS says we should treat social skills exactly the same way.
So, when you put these two models side by side, the difference is just night and day. The traditional way is all about reacting. A kid misbehaves, punishment follows. Simple. But PBIS completely flips that script. It's proactive. It's about teaching the good behavior from day one and stepping in at the very first sign of trouble.
Okay, so this whole proactive thing, it doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's built on a really specific set of beliefs about students and how they behave. So let's kind of dig into the philosophy that's driving all this.
You know, at the very heart of PBIS is this idea that behavior isn't just who you are. It's something you learn. And that one belief powers the whole system. It's all about catching things early and making sure the support fits the kid. You might hear people talk about 3 tiers of support. And all that really means is you have broad strategies for everyone, a little more help for small groups, and then some really focused one-on-one support for the kids who need it most. And here's the key. All of it, every decision, is based on actual data and research, not just a gut feeling.
All right, so that's the theory. Sounds pretty good, right? But what does this actually look like when the bell rings and kids are in the hallway? Let's break down how this philosophy turns into a real day-to-day process. Well, it's kind of like a cycle. First, you're not just assuming kids know how to act in the cafeteria or on the bus, you're teaching them, sometimes even with role-playing. Then, and this is huge, the staff are constantly on the lookout for kids doing the right thing, and they praise them for it. Next, teachers are trained to spot the little signs of trouble and step in early before things blow up. And finally, the school is always looking at the data to see what's working and what's not, and they adjust their game plan based on those results.
Okay, let's circle all the way back. Remember our student with the spitball? How would that scene have been different in a school that uses PBIS?
So instead of just reacting to the final act, a teacher using PBIS might see that student getting fidgety, kind of antsy, maybe looking for a reaction. And before the spitball even gets made, they can step in. Maybe they give the student a small job to do, or just a quick positive check-in. It's about seeing the need behind the behavior, not just the behavior itself.
So, a proactive, supportive system? I mean, it sounds amazing, but let's get to the bottom line here. Does this stuff actually work? What do the numbers say?
Well, the data is actually pretty incredible. Study after study shows that when schools really implement PBIS, they see these huge drops in things like detentions and suspensions. Even bullying goes down. And it makes sense, right? If you're busy teaching and rewarding the good stuff, there's just less bad stuff to punish.
And get this, it doesn't stop with behavior. It turns out, when you have a calmer classroom where kids feel seen and supported, surprise, surprise, they learn better. The academics actually go up too.
So when you zoom out, the big picture here is that PBIS isn't just another program or a new rule book. What we're really talking about is changing the entire culture of a school, shifting it away from a cycle of punishment and toward one of prevention, teaching, and real support for every single student.
And that really leaves you with a huge question to think about, doesn't it? What if school wasn't just a place that punished bad behavior, but a place that actively taught good behavior, with the same focus we give to reading and math? Just think about what that simple shift could really truly change.
You know, school safety is school safety is something that's on pretty much every parent's mind. And when you hear about a potential threat, it can be really unsettling, right? A lot of that is because so much of what happens next is behind the scenes. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain on the Barstow Unified School District's official protocol. We're going to walk through exactly what happens step by step to bring some clarity to a really important issue.
So this is the big question, isn't it? It's what we all really want to know. In this explainer, we're going to give you the step-by-step answer, and this is coming directly from the district's own official plan.
Okay, so the second a potential threat pops up, doesn't matter if it's a rumor, something someone saw online, or a direct report, a very specific process immediately kicks into gear. There's absolutely no waiting around.
And this right here is the most crucial first point. The whole system is built for speed and seriousness. The instant the district gets word of a situation, the gears start turning to figure out what's going on and manage any potential risk.
So what does that immediate action actually look like? Well, it's not just a school principal making a couple of phone calls. As you're about to see, it's a coordinated effort that pulls in multiple agencies right from the get-go.
All right, let's break this down because this is really the heart of the response. First up, administrators at both the school and the district get on the same page immediately. Then, step 2, they get law enforcement involved, including their on-site school resource officers. Step 3, a formal investigation is launched to find out is this threat credible and who's responsible. And then step 4, and this is a really key part, the police conduct a welfare check on the student involved. They look at their family, their home life, the whole picture. Okay, so once that investigation is done, what they find out determines everything that happens next. It's kind of like a fork in the road. The process splits into 2 completely different paths, and it all depends on whether that threat was credible and severe. And this lays out those 2 paths perfectly. On one hand, if the investigation finds the threat was unfounded, the focus immediately shifts to support. The student gets offered wellness services and help through what's called PBIS, which is basically a framework for creating a more positive and constructive school environment. But on the other hand, if the behavior is found to be severe under the California Education Code, then we're talking about disciplinary action. That could mean suspension or even expulsion. So you see, it's a system that has both support and real accountability built right in.
Now you're probably thinking, why don't we ever hear the specifics about what happened to a student? Well, the reason for that has a name, FERPA. It's the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. It's a federal law, and it requires that all student discipline has to be handled confidentially. It's all about protecting that student's privacy. So even when action is being taken, the district just can't share those details with the public.
So, with the threat handled and privacy laws being followed, how does the district actually keep the rest of the community in the loop? That's where communication comes in, and it's the next critical piece of this puzzle. The communication plan is really clear. If a situation ever gets serious enough to require a school closure, families will be notified just as fast as humanly possible. On the flip side, if a threat turns out to be nothing, families are also told that, and school just continues as normal. And through it all, the district is right there, providing constant support to the school to help them manage everything.
Everything we've just gone through, the investigation, the 2 outcomes, the way they communicate, it's all built on top of one single foundational principle. And there it is, straight from the source. This one sentence is the North Star for every single decision that gets made in these tough situations. The safety of students and staff is priority number 1, period. And at the end of the day, this whole protocol is really serving a much bigger mission. To make sure every single school is a place that's fair, safe, and where every kid can just focus on learning. So there you have it, the process decoded. Hopefully knowing these steps helps replace some of that uncertainty with understanding. And it leaves us with one final thought to chew on. When an entire community understands the plan, how does that knowledge itself become a tool for building an even stronger, safer environment for everyone?
Let's be real, when you have a Let's be real, when you have a concern about your child's school, it can be really tough to figure out where to even start. It's something pretty much every parent goes through, and honestly, it can feel a little overwhelming. But what if I told you there's a clear, established path to get your issue heard and actually resolved? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to walk through. So, you've got something on your mind. Maybe it's about a grade, something that happened in the classroom, or maybe a bigger school policy. The question is always the same, right? What's the best way to handle it? How do you make sure you're heard and that things are handled fairly and quickly without just getting lost in the shuffle? Well, the good news is you don't have to guess. The Barstow Unified School District actually has a formal process set up for this exact reason. It's a system designed to get you to the right person, protect everyone's privacy, and most importantly, get you a resolution. And following this path, it's not just a suggestion, it is hands down the most effective way to find a solution. Okay, so let's dive into that path. Think of it as a simple 4-step guide. It's designed to make sure your voice is heard by the right person at exactly the right time. The whole thing is built on a really logical progression. You always start with the person who's closest to the issue. That's usually the teacher. If you need to, you can then go to the principal, then the superintendent's office, and finally, for those really big picture policy issues, the board of trustees. Let's take a closer look at each step. All right, step 1. This is the foundation. Always start at the source. The truth is, the vast majority of concerns get resolved right here, a lot of times in just one conversation. The teacher has the most direct context and can usually solve things pretty quickly and effectively. And you know what? The process comes with a clear timeline. You can expect a response within 48 hours during the school week. If it's over a weekend or a holiday, it's 72 hours. This is all about making sure you know what to expect and that you get a timely reply. It's built right into the system. Okay, so what if that conversation with the teacher doesn't quite resolve things? Step 2 is to connect with the school principal. And you've got another really important tool at this stage. It's called the Williams Uniform Complaint. It's a formal process for specific issues like instructional materials or facility conditions. It's a powerful option, and you can even file it anonymously if you want to. Now, if the issue still isn't resolved after talking with both the teacher and the principal, step 3 brings you to the superintendent's office. You can think of this level as extra support for those more complex issues. They're there to reinforce that partnership between your family and the school. And the final step, number 4, is taking your concern to the board of trustees. Now, this one is a little different. It's really reserved for those big, district-wide policy concerns, not so much individual student situations. If your chat with the superintendent brings up a larger policy question, they might actually be the ones to point you in this direction. So we've covered who you should talk to, but how you communicate is just as critical. I mean, we all live online these days, and it can be tempting to just post on social media. But if you want a fast resolution, the channel you choose really matters. Just look at the difference here. It's pretty night and day. Direct communication gets you a fast response, it protects student privacy, which is required by law, by the way, and it gets you to the person who can actually fix the problem. Posting on social media, it almost always causes delays. Because of strict privacy laws, the district can't discuss student issues in a public forum. That can actually get in the way of an investigation and even create legal issues. The big takeaway here is that the direct path is designed to work for you. So why follow this whole formal process? You might be thinking it sounds like a lot of bureaucracy, but it's really not. It's a system that's been designed from the ground up to be fair, to be private, and to be effective for everyone involved, especially our students. Let's just quickly break down these benefits. First off, it guarantees legal privacy for all the students involved. That's huge. It also sends you straight to the person who can help, so you're not wasting time. And this is critical. It prioritizes safety. By having a formal channel, the district can properly address all concerns and take any potential threats, real or implied, very seriously. It's all about protecting every single student and staff member. When you boil it all down, this entire process is really built on one simple but powerful idea. This isn't about families versus the school district. It's about a partnership with everyone working together towards one single shared goal. And honestly, this mission statement from the district just captures that spirit perfectly. Work directly with us to ensure schools treat students fairly, equitably, and are safe. I mean, that's a goal we can all get behind, right? And this process is the framework to help make that a reality. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. We've walked through the how and the why of this whole process. But, its success really comes down to building a strong partnership, one that's built on direct, respectful communication. So, what does that ideal partnership look like to you? And how can we all play a part in building it? Thanks for tuning in.
So before we can even get to the whole unified thing, we got to go back to basics. Let's start with the foundation. What exactly is a school district anyway?
Okay, so at its most basic level, a school district is a government entity. Its job is super specific, to provide public education to all the students within a certain area. You can think of it as the fundamental building block for our public schools, kind of like the blueprint for how education gets organized.
And it's just as important to know what it's not. A school district isn't the same as a county office of education, and it's definitely not a charter school. Nope, those are totally different animals with their own set of rules. Understanding that difference is really key here. All right, so we've got the foundation down. Now let's add that one little word that changes everything: unified. This single word completely transforms how a student experiences their education, from day one all the way to graduation day.
And this slide just lays it all out so clearly. On one side, you've got fragmented districts. Just imagine, the elementary school system has its own rules and leadership. The middle school has a different set. And the high school? Yep, another one. It can get pretty choppy, right? But then you look at a unified district. We're talking about a single, seamless path. It's designed to be one continuous journey for a student, with no jarring disconnects between grades.
So how do they pull that off? Well, it really boils down to two main things. First, the grade span. A unified district covers the whole shebang, from the little kids in TK all the way through 12th grade. And second, and this is the real kicker, is the single governance. One superintendent and one board make all the big decisions for all the schools. So why is that such a big deal? It means the curriculum actually lines up from grade to grade, policies are consistent, and they can share resources way more effectively across the whole system.
Okay, so all this theory is great, but what does it look like in the real world? To really get a feel for this, we're going to look at a specific case study, the Barstow Unified School District.
Now, like any public school district, Barstow Unified has a legal job to do. Its main responsibility is to provide an education in what's called the least restrictive environment. Now, that's a bit of a legal-sounding term, but what it really boils down to is that students with disabilities should be in class with their non-disabled friends as much as possible. It's really a foundational promise of public education.
But, it's not just about checking legal boxes. What's the real heartbeat of a district? It's their philosophy. It's what they truly believe. And that belief ends up shaping every single decision they make.
And for Barstow Unified,
It all comes down to this one super powerful idea. You can forget the bureaucracy, forget the buildings, forget all the other stuff. The central interest, the only interest that truly matters, is the learner. That right there, that's their North Star.
And you can see how that main idea is held up by these core values. They believe learning is something you do, not just something you get. They understand that experiencing success, even the small wins, is what builds momentum for a student. But maybe most importantly, they believe quality education isn't just the school's job. They see it as a mission for the entire community. It's about building a whole support system, an ecosystem really, around every single kid. So you've got the unified structure, you've got this awesome student-first philosophy. So how do you pull all that together into a mission that actually, works?
Well, it all starts with a very practical goal. Because think about it. Before you can even get to the math and the history, you have to get the environment right. So the goal is to make every single school a place that is fair, that is equitable, that is safe, and most of all, an environment where learning can actually happen and flourish.
And boom, here it is. This is where everything we've talked about, the structure, the philosophy, the goal, it all comes together in this one mission statement. See, it's not just about good grades or test scores. It's about providing quality educational experiences that allow students to reach their full potential and then go on to make positive contributions to their community. That is the ultimate promise of a unified system.
So I want to leave you with this thought to chew on. When one single, cohesive mission follows a student from their very first day of kindergarten all the way to their last day of high school, how does that unified vision shape not just their school years, but their whole journey into becoming an adult? It's a pretty powerful concept, and that's the real magic behind that word, unified.
So, have you ever wondered what your rights actually are when it comes to student walkouts? It can feel like a really tricky balance, right? You want to make your voice heard, but you also have to follow school rules. Well, today we're going to break down exactly how one school district, Barstow Unified, handles this whole thing and what it all means for you. Okay, so first things first. Let's start with the foundation of this entire policy. The school district doesn't just jump into a list of rules and restrictions. Nope, it actually starts with a core principle, your fundamental right to express yourself.
This quote really gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's a super clear statement that your voice matters and that your constitutional right to speak up is something they actively support. This whole thing isn't about silencing students. It's about creating a framework for that expression. All right, so the district supports free speech. That sounds great. But what does that actually look like during a normal school day? Let's dive into the district's official guidelines to see how they actually put this into practice. And this right here is where they draw a very clear line in the sand. On the one hand, you have expression that's totally supported, as long as it's peaceful, respectful, and doesn't interrupt class. But on the other hand, leaving campus for a walkout, that's not condoned. The key difference really comes down to location and disruption.
So here's the bottom line, the direct consequence. If you leave campus to participate in a walkout, it will be marked as an unexcused absence. According to the district, this is a firm rule. No ifs, ands, or buts.
But you might be wondering, why an unexcused absence? Is that just an arbitrary school rule? Actually, no. The district's hands are kind of tied here by the very specific language in the California Education Code. Let's take a closer look at what the law actually says. So, the state law is really clear on this. It allows for just one excused absence per school year for a student to participate in a specific kind of event. Only one.
And here is where the details really, really matter. The law has a very specific definition for what counts as a civic or political event. And if you look at the examples, voting, working at polls, going to a political forum, you can see they're all pretty distinct, structured activities.
And this is the legal core of the entire policy. A walkout or a protest is simply not on that list of valid reasons in the Education Code. Because of that, the school legally cannot mark it as an excused absence.
But, the district's policy isn't just about following the letter of the law. It's also built on something absolutely fundamental, a non-negotiable responsibility, keeping students safe.
This is a really critical point to understand. A school-sanctioned event is something the school has organized, planned for, and approved, like a field trip or a football game. A walkout just doesn't fall into that category.
And because it's not a school-sanctioned event, there's a direct and really important consequence. No school staff will be there to supervise. No teachers, no administrators, no security. Once students are off school grounds,
they're no longer under the school's watch.
And this is the bottom line. It's as simple as this. Once a student walks off school grounds for an event like this, the district's legal and practical ability to keep them safe is gone. The school is responsible for students on its campus, but that responsibility ends at the property line.
So with all of this in mind, the right to express yourself, the rules on attendance, and these major safety concerns, the district is really encouraging families to just have an open conversation about these issues at home.
These are pretty much the 3 pillars of that conversation. Families are encouraged to talk about how important it is to make your voice heard, while also weighing that against the value of being in class, and, maybe most critically, the real safety risks of being off campus without any supervision. Today, we're going to walk through the Barstow Unified School District's policy on immigration enforcement. The whole point of this is to make it super clear, so every student, parent, and staff member knows what rights and protections are. So, let's get into it.
Right from the very beginning, the policy lays down this powerful statement. And look, this isn't just some fluffy intro language, it's the bedrock for everything else that follows. It's making one thing crystal clear. Schools are safe zones for learning, period. This commitment to being a welcoming place, no matter someone's immigration status, really drives every other rule in the policy.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to break this all down into 4 key areas. First, how the district protects your private information. Then, the specific rules for immigration agents. After that, what school staff are required to do. And finally, we'll cover your rights and the resources available to you.
All right, let's dive into one of the most important parts of this whole policy, your privacy. This is all about how the district keeps your personal information and your family's information safe and secure.
So this is the big question, right? And the policy has a very, very clear answer. This really gets to the heart of how the district creates that safe environment, because it starts by limiting what kind of information they can even ask for in the first place. The policy is super specific here. It says school staff are just not allowed to ask you about your immigration status, ask for any documents about it, or share your school records. They also can't just let agents wander into private areas like classrooms or school buses. Now, there is one major exception to all these rules.
And that one big exception is a judicial warrant. Let's be really clear about what that means. We're not talking about just any request or some piece of paper. This is a formal court order that has been signed by a judge, which sets an incredibly high legal bar before any information can be shared.
Okay, so that covers privacy. But what actually happens if an immigration agent shows up at a school? It can be a scary thought, right? Well, the policy has a clear protocol for this exact situation, designed to take all the guesswork and uncertainty out of it.
And really, it all boils down to this. You can see the 2 scenarios side by side. On the left, if there's no valid warrant, school staff must deny agents entry. That's the rule. But on the right, if an agent comes with that valid judicial warrant we just talked about, staff can't get in their way. That warrant is the key that changes the entire response.
So that leads to the next logical question, which is, what are school employees actually supposed to do? The policy gives them a really clear step-by-step playbook so that there's a consistent protective response across the entire district. And the key word here, honestly, is protocol. A teacher or a staff member at the front desk isn't expected to make these huge decisions all by themselves. No way. The policy makes sure that any kind of request is immediately escalated up a formal chain of command. And here's exactly what that protocol looks like. Step 1. An agent makes a request. Step 2. The staff member who gets that request does not act on it. Instead, Step 3, it gets reported immediately to the superintendent. And then finally, the superintendent lets the school board know, all while making sure everyone's personal information is kept confidential. It's a system designed for careful handling at the very highest level.
We've gone over privacy and the protocols, but now let's talk about what this all means for you, for the students and the families. This part is all about empowerment and laying out the rights you have and the resources available.
This right here is a really powerful and direct protection. It means the district's resources, their computers, their data, their files, cannot be used to create any kind of list or registry that singles people out because of their immigration status or where their family comes from. It's a fundamental guard against profiling. And these rights are guaranteed for every single student. It's all about making sure you have equal opportunities, that you're protected from bullying or intimidation, and that you know you have the right to refuse to provide information about your immigration status.
And of course, all of this is built on that core right to a free public education, no matter what.
And crucially, these rights aren't just words on a page. They have teeth. The policy gives you a tool for accountability. If you ever feel that these protections have been ignored or violated, you can use the district's uniform complaint procedures to file a formal complaint and have it investigated.
And that really brings us full circle. This policy is about so much more than a set of rules. It's about actively creating a community where people feel safe and trusted. You know, if you're a parent, there are few things more worrying than finding out your child is having a tough time at school. But let's get right into it. When does a simple conflict cross that line into actual bullying? Today, we're going to break down a clear, research-based plan that will help you figure out what's really happening and give you the tools you need to support your child. So this is it, right? This is the first and honestly the most critical question parents face. Acknowledging that your child's feelings are hurt is always step one, for sure. But there's a really specific line where teasing becomes something much, much more serious. So how can you, as a parent, actually spot the difference?
Well, the official definition gives us 3 key ingredients to look for. It's really helpful to think of it this way. Bullying isn't just a simple disagreement. It has to have a power imbalance, there has to be a clear intent to cause harm, and, this is a big one, it's usually not a one-time thing. It's repeated.
And seeing it side by side like this makes it so clear. You see, in a general conflict, the kids are more or less on equal footing. But with bullying, nope. One child is using their power, whether that's being physically bigger or having more social clout, to target someone they see as weaker. And yeah, teasing can accidentally go too far sometimes, but the actual goal of bullying is to hurt someone and to do it over and over again.
Okay, so if we really want to stop bullying, we've got to understand that this isn't a one-person job. Not at all. Creating a truly safe school takes a whole team, a whole community, where every single person knows the part they have to play.
It really starts with the adults. We're talking teachers, principals, custodians, every staff member. They're the first line of defense. Their job is to be watching, to step in the second they see something, to never just brush off a kid's report as drama, and to be present in those places like playgrounds and hallways where bullying tends to happen. They really do set the tone for the entire school.
But here's where the real power is, with the other students, the bystanders. They are the vast majority, and they can change everything. When they make the choice to tell an adult, or even just to not laugh along, they completely strip the bully of their audience and their power. And just offering a kind word to someone who is targeted, that can make all the difference. Students can literally change the culture of their school from the inside out.
All right, let's shift gears and talk about your action plan. If you find out your child is being bullied, how you react in those first few moments is so important. Here's what to do first to give them the support they desperately need.
Before you pick up the phone, before you do anything else, your number one job is to be a safe place for your child. Just listen. Let them tell you the whole story without jumping in. The most powerful messages you can send right now are, "This is not your fault. You deserve to be treated with respect, and I've got your back, and we will figure this out together." That reassurance, it's everything. Okay, this piece of advice right here is absolutely critical. Once you've provided that emotional support, it's time to get practical. Write down everything. What happened, when it happened, where it happened, who was there. This documentation is your superpower. It turns a general concern into a specific, factual report that the school can actually act on.
So now you've got your child's story, and you've got your records all documented. It's time to partner with the school. And approaching this as a collaboration, not a confrontation, is hands down the best way to get a good outcome. Following these steps gives you a clear, structured path forward. You report it right away and set up a meeting. In that meeting, you calmly lay out the facts from your records. And really, your main goal is to ask one simple question. What's our plan to work together to make sure my child is safe? See how that frames it as a shared problem? And always remember, you do have rights if things don't get better.
And this just goes to show how powerful those rights can be. In a lot of places, there are specific laws designed to protect students. California's Education Code, for instance, makes it clear that a child's safety is the top priority, even giving parents the option to get a fresh start at a new school if the bullying can't be stopped.
So responding to incidents is obviously crucial, but the real endgame, the ultimate goal, is to create a school culture where bullying just can't thrive in the first place, and that requires a proactive, school-wide game plan.
So, what does one of these proactive, safe schools actually look like? Well, it's got a clear anti-bullying policy that everybody knows about. It invests in training its staff. It actually teaches kids skills like empathy and how to resolve conflicts. And it creates safe, anonymous ways for students to report problems without being scared. These aren't just fuzzy ideas, they're concrete actions that build a real culture of respect.
And a document like this, it's not just a piece of paper in a file cabinet. A district's formal written policy is a public promise. It sets clear expectations for everybody, students, teachers, and parents, and basically says keeping our kids safe is our #1 priority. It's the official playbook for prevention.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. Because at the end of the day, building a culture of respect, well, that isn't just up to the schools, is it? It's a conversation and a commitment that involves every single one of us. Because every child, everywhere, deserves to feel safe.
Okay, let's talk about cell phones in school. Okay, let's talk about cell phones in school. It's a huge topic, and it affects pretty much everyone: students, parents, teachers. Today, we're going to break down the official mobile device policy for the Barstow Unified School District, so there's no confusion about what the rules actually are.
You know, the policy document itself kicks off with this line that it really gets to the heart of the matter. We all know how attached we are to our phones, but in a classroom, they can be a massive distraction. So the real challenge is finding that sweet spot, right? That balance between being connected and actually concentrating on learning. And that's exactly what this policy is trying to do. Find that balance. So we're going to walk through the official rules step by step. The goal here is to make sure everyone, from students to parents to the staff, is on the same page. All right, let's dive into the most important part, the one everyone really wants to know about. What happens during class time? This is really the core of the whole policy. Okay, so the rule itself, it's super simple and direct. When you're in class, your device has to be turned completely off. And I mean off, not just on silent or vibrate. Then it has to be put away, out of sight. And this doesn't just mean your phone. We're talking smartwatches, tablets, basically any mobile device you've got. So the district gives you 3 clear options for where to put your device. Some classrooms might use those yonder pouches or have a special sealed cabinet. The third option, and probably the most common, is to just keep it in your backpack or purse. But, and this is the key detail, you cannot touch it or access it during class. It has to stay out of sight and hopefully out of mind. Okay, so we've covered all the don'ts. But what about the do's? When can you actually use your device? Because this policy isn't a total ban, there are some very specific exceptions. The general rule of thumb is pretty flexible actually. Before school starts, during your lunch break, and after that final bell rings for the day, you can use your device on campus. The only catch is you still have to follow all the other school rules while you're using it. Pretty straightforward. Now, what about during class time? Well, the policy lists 4 very clear situations where it's okay. First, in a real emergency. Second, if a teacher gives you direct permission, maybe for a specific lesson. Third, if you have a medical need that's documented by a doctor. And finally, if it's required as part of a student's individualized education program, or IEP. Of course, rules are just words on a page without enforcement. So, what happens if a student decides not to follow the policy? Let's take a look at the consequences. It really boils down to 2 main things. First, the student could face disciplinary action. And second, a staff member can temporarily confiscate the device. Now, it's really important to know that if your device is taken, the policy says it will be stored securely until it can be returned.
And here's a crucial point. The policy's reach isn't just limited to the classroom or even the school grounds. On-campus misuse is pretty obvious, right? But the rules also cover off-campus situations if that use ends up seriously disrupting school or threatens the safety of other students or staff. That's a really big deal to remember. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. This last part covers some incredibly important stuff about privacy, device searches, and who's responsible if something goes wrong. This is the fine print everyone really needs to understand.
And this brings us to a huge question, probably one you're already thinking about. Can a principal or a teacher just decide to search your phone? Well, the policy is very, very specific about this. A school official can only search a student's device if one of 3 things is true. They have permission from a parent, they have a legal warrant, or, and this is a very high bar, there's a genuine emergency that involves immediate danger of death or serious injury. So no, they can't just search it on a whim.
And here is the final, absolutely critical piece of information for every single family. When a student brings a device to school, they are doing it at their own risk. The district makes it crystal clear that they are not responsible if that device gets lost, stolen, or damaged.
So, there you have it. That's the Barstow school phone policy from top to bottom. It's a clear attempt to cut down on distractions while still making room for emergencies and the way we communicate today.
So, today we're going to talk about something that's really shaking up how schools think about student behavior. Today we're going to talk about something that's really shaking up how schools think about student behavior. It's a framework called PBIS, and at its core, it's all about one powerful idea: focusing on prevention instead of just reaction.
Okay, so to really get why this is such a big deal, let's start with a scene I'm sure we can all picture. Imagine a classroom. It's getting kind of late in the day. Everyone's a little restless. And then, yep, a spitball goes flying across the room.
And what happens next? Well, it's pretty much what you'd expect. The teacher sees it, gets frustrated, and that student is sent straight to the principal's office. That's the classic playbook, right? It's how schools have dealt with stuff like this for, well, forever.
But what if that whole scene just didn't have to happen? What if the goal wasn't just to punish the action, but to stop it from ever happening in the first place?
And that's exactly where this whole different approach comes into play. It's called PBIS, which stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports. And really, the most important word there is supports.
So what is this thing really? Well, think of PBIS like an operating system for the entire school, and it applies to every student. It's not some special treatment or therapy. It's a whole framework designed to create a positive, safe environment.
Okay, we call the meeting back to order at 5:09. Board out of closed session. In closed session, the board took action to approve a resignation settlement agreement of EIN number 4615 with a unanimous vote 5-0. In closed session, the board took action to approve the rejection of claims for claim number 3124521 with unanimous vote of 5-0. In closed session, the board took action to approve the readmission of student number 903753654, 319-403-1058, 304-161-0085, 437-928-4574, 352-423-1790, 698-934-1511 with unanimous vote 5-0. Next, we'll go into presentations. CTE end of year review.
That's Miss Bowser. And I think there's a slideshow I shared with Christine earlier. All righty. Good evening, and thank you for having us back to talk about Career Technical Education, or CTE, in Barstow Unified School District. Tonight, we'll be reviewing our master plan, some new standards, priority sectors, and activities. And next slide, please. Last year, when we visited, we talked about our master plan for this year, which stayed in place there. We talked about the bubbles and the current state plan of CTE sectors and pathways. This is the last time you'll be seeing this plan, though. This year, Barstow High has offered 11 pathways spanning 9 different sectors, and Barstow Junior High offered 1 pathway, which was drama production. Barstow High launched 3 new pathways: child development, patient care, and welding, which were all very popular with our students. Our established pathways of automotives, careers in education, computer coding, criminal justice, culinary arts, entrepreneurship, mental and behavioral health, and multimedia round out our tried and true diverse course offerings. BHS is currently planning to develop a barbering pathway as early as upcoming school year. With state licensing, there will be additional requirements with some high hurdles to jump to provide a high quality environment. But nonetheless, the barbering pathway offers some unique opportunities to support our community. So I'm saying that this is the last time you're going to see this because the State Department of Education has, go ahead and go to the next slide, revamped our master plan effective, really, it started this school year. So if we go, it's going to go from the bubbles, which were busy enough, to this. And by the way, I have copies of this. You might need magnifiers for these too, please. Thank you. So they're going from to a national model. So everybody in CTE has now decided that going toward the national, which they call them not the bubbles, but they call them career clusters. So if we look at the organization here, we go kind of this bowl idea of saying there are some central ideas that organize us, for instance, technology and entrepreneurship on the outside, because they're saying basically all the pathways use technology now, and all the pathways should have business skills or entrepreneurial skills built within them. So as we look at those new standards, the model curriculum has, and if you see on the right-hand side there where I have the standards updates, you can see what the state's planning here. So we started this year already with our standards updates in phase 1. Phase 1 approvals already impacted arts, media, and entertainment and entrepreneurship sectors. Phase 2 is now underway, which focuses on manufacturing, which is our welding, healthcare, human services, and supply chain transportation. So that's our automotive department. The California Department of Education has given districts the option to update pathways as these phases are approved, or wait until the projects end, which will be right around November 2027. The first phase, we were not on time at all. We lagged by, I think, from November to February, so 4 months off. But by now, they've caught up, and they seem to have their steam moving. So I expect the date to finish maybe even December of 2027 at the latest, right, given their current timeline. The leadership of Mr. Godfrey and Barstow High School decided on a teams-based approach. So we're going to be waiting till the end of the phases to redo all of our classrooms and curriculum at Barstow High School. This approach ensures that our teachers have the time necessary to plan curricular revisions in accordance with these new standards and work together to support the overall vision. All CTE credentials will be grandfathered into these new clusters within the framework model. So some of them are very familiar and will stay much the same, but some are actually jumping. For instance, if we look at our blue one, which they call Caring for Communities, we now see education in the same sector as our healthcare people. So that would be very different from what we're currently operating. So we've got a little bit of adjustments to make, but fortunately within personnel, we will see those credentials grandfather in. New teachers will be issued these new credentials as soon as they are phased in with the state. So a little bit. We should be diligently watching all of this as the years progress to make sure that we're aligning to those new standards. And next slide, please. These high demand sectors within San Bernardino County are areas to watch too, because of course within grant funding, these are high need areas. So they're going to be extra pointed in terms of grant allotments. These following sectors identified as San Bernardino County's high key areas of growth with resources and grants dedicated toward them. So they are healthcare. So we think about nurses and various technicians and all skilled professionals within the healthcare. Family and Human Services, all we need to do is think about our transitional assistance department at East Main there and think about the number of jobs that are coming in there. Logistics and distribution and transportation, that remains our leading sector throughout the county. So we're talking about BNSF, we're talking about the Walmart distribution hub and the Amazon facilities, only as some of the beginnings that are coming in through this area and up into the region. Advanced manufacturing, materials fabrication, industrial maintenance. Big efforts here going on with Barstow College. So Barstow College is developing a workforce initiative program to operate with leaders from Boron, Rio Tinto, the Marine Corps Logistics Space, BNSF again, and mining divisions around the area to make sure that they are producing certification programs for the people that need that. So we're smart to keep that in mind and see if we can align with any of their programs as well. In education, we know that we have currently the K-16 education grant functioning, and educators across all various roles in all grade levels are needed. Engineering and green energy, you can see I've question marked that one. While San Bernardino County will list that as, of course, a high energy grants are loved in these areas, our actual need up here in this region is less. We are not seeing as many job demands for it. It's just not something that is something that we're going to see in this area as much. Okay. All right. Thank you. Move to the next one. On this slide, we see an exhausting list. I'm sorry, it's an exhaustive list of activities that we did this year. So in work-based learning service programs, we had our ambassador program led up by Mrs. Delton. That was really the first year for it. Really an exciting program where our students became our leaders for all of our promotion and marketing materials. Semester 1, Fall Brawl with Mr. Sanucci, really a cool idea there, and we support that program. The Youth Summit in Semester 2 was new. So San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools asked Dr. Williams' department, and he and Mr. Navarro worked together to sponsor it at Barstow High School. Huge event, really, really fun. Brought together all of our CTE departments to do really some A+ work there. Culinary catering is always a need at Barstow High School, and they're always serving the community. And education pre-apprenticeships with Montero School and Henderson were something that were new for us this year. Completer seminars. We had completer seminars for our completers coming up that actually took a class in the fall in the library. It was just like a little seminar that we did, I think twice, to make sure that our completers knew what the requirements were going to be because we changed them. So the STOL was if they completed the pathway with a grade of A, B, or C in 2 semesters for 2 years, same pathway. And the CORD, we said, represented FAFSA completion along with other school leadership requirements. For instance, Thrively with Mr. Brinkley was required for them to get the CORD, and anything else that the school said, hey, this is something that we want everybody to do. We said, you know what? In jobs, this is what you do. If the job says this is what we need you to do, if it's child abuse reporting videos, then that is what you do. So we wanted our students to understand that they needed to be part of the team in that way. So that was really a neat thing. We had 76% of our students that got on board for FAFSA and all the other requirements. So that was a little bit of a change, and shout out to Ms. Delton for organizing all that. Field trips, we saw many of you. We saw Mr. Islas, Mr. Chavez, Deanna, somebody else, Mr. Williams on that trip to Boron. Thank you for that. And we went to that was just our beginning, and September 6th, I think, and all the rest of them there, and I've probably forgotten a couple. We ended the year at Cal State University Dominguez Hills for an education tour. Fantastic trips. Some of them sponsored by MDCP, so a big shout out to them. Some sponsored within the industry, and some are teacher driven. So the teachers find partners that they can go to and work with. Professional development, again, this is all teacher driven. So teachers tell me what they need to do. We're always looking for great industry driven workshops for them to attend. So that was in that department. Leadership training, divine interventions with James Campbell and Lakeisha. They were here again this year for our semester 2 to bring about essential skills and leadership training for our students. It was on demand. So if the teachers had a certain topic, like, hey, my 4th period is late a lot, they would do on demand workshops for those students to teach them those skills. As I look at all of this, I see Donna Reckner in all of this. So a big shout out to Donna Reckner for making all of the requisitions happen, all of the contacts that we need to make sure that not only are we supplied, but we've got purchase orders for these trips and all of the things that we need up there. So big call out there. Big year, it's awesome. And next page, please. In all, we completed 212 completers this year. So those are non-duplicated students. 212 of our seniors completed successfully with the 2-year pathway. 340 pathways represent those students. So in other words, we had multiple completers. So some of our students, I think we had four indeed, that completed 4 pathways. So that's remarkable, but we had others that completed 3, 2, and then the single pathway completers. Along with that, I saw just today launching that on our Career College Index, we will see now a civic engagement that is going to be added to the CCI. They're looking for a new name for that index now, which will probably be the Career College and Civic Index, I would think. So that's going to be something new for us to keep an eye on. Mostly history oriented, I believe, but it's an interesting turn of events there for our dashboard. All right, thank you. Next page, please. And finally, it can't be said enough that CTE is a collective work. CTE touches every school and district department. CTE management involves extensive work across every desk and calculator and computer, conference table, and maintenance tool bag in our district and beyond. CTE is a learning experience for all of us, students and staff alike. CTE is work that embodies the very notion of work. So what's not to love? To love work. I am so grateful to have been in our company of workers, demonstrating that together we can make our futures brighter, productive, and happier. Thank you to the Board of Trustees. Thank you to the District Cabinet, and thank you support staff for all you do to ensure that career readiness shines brightly in Barstow Unified School District. Thank you.
One, I was just curious. I don't know if it would be your question or George's question. It's like kind of a little bit in between both of you. When you're talking about the credentials and particularly with the whole new model and everything, I was wondering like where the credentials fall. And whenever I say that is like we have the continuum like here under the new system, right? As far as the most broad, like all the way into the circle, saying like caring for communities, right? And then if you went all the way to the outside, would say be like emergency response. That would be like the far end of specific. Whenever the new teachers are getting their credentials, are they getting it like on that vague category? So then they're able to do all these, or they have to be into the super specific all the way on the
super specific, but not too specific, because too specific, it doesn't always allow you to get the hours. So industry hours is what it's based on. If you come into me, for instance, with your welding background, we're going to count up how many full-time hours you have. You're going to need 10,000 hours. It depends on how many years and how many years ago it was. So anywhere from 5 to 10 years, you're able to get in, say, with 10,000 hours of industry experience. You get your letters together, and that qualifies you for a credential within. Currently, that would be a manufacturing certification or credential.
Okay.
So you're qualified within the sector then. Your industry hours in welding qualify you within the sector of manufacturing. Now within manufacturing, we have fabrication. Do you have to have fabrication hours to teach fabrication? Technically, yes. So under current standards. If you were using fabrication to support your welding, then it's allowed. But as long as your welding is your primary emphasis, then that's where we are.
Okay.
So that's the sector that is kind of this broader category, you're
Yeah.
right? And then we go in, usually, a candidate can have two. So can we get two certifications? Yes.
That's kind of what I'm like looking at. And how
Exactly.
much flexibility do
Yeah.
we have, you know what I mean, to have potential future courses and or optimize our staff and
Yes.
all of that.
So currently, let's stick with Robert Sheldon in welding. So he's our welder, he's got welding, but welding operates within the manufacturing. Transportation is where automotive lies. He
Yeah.
also has enough hours in automotive that he can add that on. I don't know if he can add it on before he gets his clear. I think he has to have his clear to add on.
I think he has to have his clear. And currently, if I may add,
Sure.
we're working with San Diego County of Education, and we also have Ventura County of Education that we work through to get their seat. They still have to go back to school and get their credential. So, you gave me some homework, so I need to go back and work on that, because if there's a window of opportunity for some of our staff members to get that certification before that window closes, I think it would benefit the district to actually support them with that. So,
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
yeah.
And you'll have to work with the state on when they're, I
Yeah.
don't know if they've declared how long they're gonna leave the grandfathering open.
Yeah.
And there also will be an opportunity for teachers such as, if Robert wants to transition what's gonna be the old certification into the new, he has a bit of time to do that as well. So, yeah, lots of
Okay.
opportunity.
The other question I had was as far as grades and or ages, and what is kind of like the limitation as that goes, right? Like I know certain things, you know, at a certain student, a certain age is dangerous, you know what I mean? Like you don't want a 5-year-old welding, or you know what I mean? But is there hard and fast rules as far as like you can't do this?
There were. Automotive had the hardest restriction, and that was with their auto lift. They wanted them to be at 16 years old, 16 and a half actually was their rule to use the auto lift. But then they got this breakaway component that they were able to install there and increase the safety on that auto lift. Now it's for anybody through 9 through 12. You can see that common sense tells you that you've got to have some restrictions in
Yeah.
place, some
Yeah.
selection of students in certain pathways that do have that danger element in them. And they need to respect the equipment, certainly, that's in those rooms. Yeah.
But there is some I'm seeing like as far down as like the junior high, depending on what it is, or is it mainly high school and varying, you know, grades at the high school?
Junior high, unless you have a candidate, Jock Washington is at our junior high now. He has specific hours in theater that allow him to teach theater as a single subject the whole year. If another teacher, a CTE teacher, takes on that school, they can do CTE two ways in a middle school. They can do what's called an exploratory wheel, which looks like career exploration. So they do 4 to 6 wheels of experiences that they have. So they could do culinary and a little bit of a manufacturing and maybe a robotics wheel, computer wheel, things like they can dip around.
Surface
Never
level.
longer than 6 to 8 weeks, something like that, because they're not, unless that's their hours. If it's their hours, then they can teach up to the whole year. But they want there to be this rotational, they call it, within middle school. So middle school typically doesn't get into things like welding because they lack the facility for it.
Yeah.
And our monies there tend to be less. Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering like, just what's possible. That's all. Yeah.
Very good questions. But some middle schools have developed, usually the middle schools that are going to develop, they're going to develop computers because computer labs are pretty commonplace in schools. So.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
No, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, I just want to thank you for all the hard work you did for the CTE. And, you know, I remember when you first went to the high school up there in the 800 row at the, I guess it was the east-north classroom. I don't know what it was. And I remember going over to your classroom after, after school, it didn't look like anybody was in there. I mean, you had complete control in there, and, you know, and working with you with, you know, since I've been on the board, it's been awesome. You know, you're great. And, you know, I could sit here all night. You know, thank you for all you did for the kids and all you did for the school district. Thank you very much.
It's been my honor, truly. I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, the thing, yeah. Thing I like to say is, you know, watching the CTE program and just in the past, 2 years, just grow. And there's a lot of talk out there. And I know the government is pushing CTE. We have grown with that. And I've watched it grow, adding more and more and more. I mean, it was amazing when he talked about last meeting, the barbering. Wow. And we had a number of people who were very interested in it. And there's a lot of people out there that are very interested in this. And you guys have just done an amazing job with this program at the high school and junior high. It's amazing. It's an amazing program.
There's a lot of moving parts in it, but it's
Yeah.
a very interesting program. A lot of growth. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, next we have Barstow High School ASB presentation.
Yes, ASB presented last month. It's actually PBIS. So it's a little typo. But the agenda, if you open up the slides for that bullet point, it's this one. So my name is Timothy Brinkley. I just want to give a shout out to Ms. Bowser because what she's done with CT has definitely influenced the culture and the climate at Barstow High School, which is what I've been in charge of the last 2 years from 2024 to now. And I'm actually resigning this year. And so I'm going to be working at Barstow College in the future. So this is kind of like my last responsibility for being in BUSD, except for turning in my paperwork with the finance office and turning in my little ID. But I'm really glad to be here. And I want to present to you guys a little bit of the progress we've made over the last 10 years. So if you could go to the next slide, I'm going to give you guys a big picture overview, and then we'll zoom in on some suggestions for improvements for this coming year. So if you look at our PBIS team there, we had Miss Sonia Compton Reyes from Barstow College, and we also had Miss Givens, who I'm blanking on. I'm so sorry. Miss Givens. And so it was 2 board members on there. And so they really brought a lot of insight and depth into what we're doing. Go ahead and go to the next one. So I'm going way back to 2017 here. And this is just kind of going to be, I just want you to look on the left. You see where it says 0, 4, 8, 12, 16? That's average referrals per day. Okay. So this is, I got to Barstow High in 2013. So I was here when this was going on. Okay, so go ahead. Go to the next one. So it kind of goes up. It's still in the 16 range here in 2018. Go ahead and go to the next one. So on this one, we kind of ended a little bit early. I'm not sure why. Probably had something to do with our reporting. COVID. You maybe. Yep, you guys got it. So we had no data for 2020. Look at that. All right. Wonder why. Okay. 2021, we came back. Notice all the numbers are way down. Before we were in the 75th percentile regularly. Now we're getting down closer to the median. All right. Keep going. 2022. So this year, I'm not sure what happened this year, but there was a lot of turnover at Barstow High with administration. We had several principals switch out, and so I'm guessing that's part of it. Probably not the whole story, but notice it's not going up to 16 this time. It's going up into the 30s, and this is probably where we got in trouble with the state. And the red lights came on. And they said, "Let's go check out Barstow High School." All right, let's go to the next one. 20, 23, 24. So it came way down. There's 23. You can see we're getting below the 8, the median. All right, keep going. 24 is when I came on, so it's going down even further. And then 25, 26 is this year. And so that one ended, well, we got a little bit over the median at the beginning, but it had a downward trend. So that's kind of a big picture of referrals per day. So that basically means average referrals per day is how many referrals were given to one student on average. If you were to add up all the referrals and divide it by the number of students, that's what that means. So, all right, let's go to the next one. So big wins for 2026. We got Miss Kimberly Lopez. She is a new hire, and she she got the student wellness center. We set up a referral form for her so teachers could refer students to them. And she taught classes in these 4 areas: anger management, coping skills, conflict resolution, communication, and problem solving. And I think it really had an impact. I think a lot of students were in there. She had groups of like 2 to 6 in there and talking about different things that are how to get better at these areas. All right, next one. We also implemented the cell phone policy this year, and this one had mixed effects. But by the end of the year, I think since we didn't have all the teachers doing it, it kind of got really fend for yourself by the end of the year, and students kind of just ignored it, I think is my general takeaway. Because not everybody was doing the same thing, not all the teachers were doing the same thing. The students were like, okay, this teacher allows it this time, this teacher allows it that time, this teacher doesn't care, this teacher's super strict. So I tried this in my classroom. 2 weeks at the end of the school year, I said, okay, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to ask you to put your phone in the locker, and if you don't, I'm going to call your parents, send you out, and give you a referral. And so during those 2 weeks, it was really effective. But I felt like, and this is just a teacher's perspective, so I felt like it changed the dynamic of my relationship with my students. And so they no longer respected me and there's like a change in the trust levels. And, and so I think that's part of the challenge that you face with saying mandating all teachers need to do it, because teachers have so many different ways of approaching discipline. And so that's one of the reasons this is so sticky, is because you don't have teacher buy-in all across the board. And if you don't have that, then it's just kind of haywire. So it continues to be a challenge. But we do have cell phone boxes in each room. And I think we got a little bit better this year. And I think next year, Mr. Navarro has some ideas. And you're welcome to chime in at any point, Mr. Navarro, and interrupt if you'd like. The Omela digital platform, we got this approved. This is a free way. The only way they get paid is by the tips. So they automatically mark up any donations to a club. So Miss Culinary, Miss Santos, was able to use this for her dinner theater, and some other clubs were able to do it, like robotics, were able to do fundraisers with it. And so if somebody wants to buy a chocolate bar, for example, they pay $1, and then the tip is like 10 cents. And so that 10 cents is how Omela is paid. So there's no cost to us at all, to the district or the school. So that was a win. And since ASB has their own separate payment platform, it was a great way for clubs to kind of get in on the digital payment system. So, all right, we got our 2026 PBIS posters printed, and in every classroom, we've redesigned them for this year, and also the outdoor ones. So those should be going up sometime soon on the outside, and they are much more in line with the expectations that we teach in the classroom. The problem is that a lot of teachers don't know what to do with it. And so I have a teacher next door, Mr. Kitzman, and even in my classroom, I have it like way high on the wall. And so when I want to refer to it, I say, do you see that? Do you see that expectation way up there? It says come to class on time. And they're like squinting, trying to see it. So I think the placement of it needs to be a little bit lower. And it needs to be referred to regularly and often. And so that is something that we can work on. And I was part of the PBIS team with Shonda that went to California's PBIS thing. And I learned so much about PBS. I kind of feel bad leaving when I've already been trained so much. So I guess, the turnover is real.
Yeah.
Ms. Bowser mentioned a bunch of field trips. This year we had a lot of teachers initiating their own field trips. And so Mr. Barstow took them down to Warner Brothers. There was the prom was a normal one with Amber's classes. Miss Myers, the photo teacher, took students down to Little Corona. I got to go on that one. Miss Griego took students to human trafficking symposium in Ontario, which had some heavy material, and the students handled it amazing. So overall, we did 63 field trips this year. We did 199 student activities. So this is counting ASB, CTE, it's counting everything. Club meetings, we had 493 club meetings, 171 on-campus events. And, you know, all of that goes into affecting the culture. Like when there's stuff to do, places to go, students love it, you know? So the Youth Truth Survey results for our high school, I'd like to report on them. The students saying that they're feeling safe went up from 34 to 40%. Students felt like a positive sense of being on campus. All those numbers went up for college and career readiness, belonging, engagement, culture, relationship as families, reporting, engagement, communication. Those all went up, but where it went down is with the staff responses. The majority of staff, like culture for staff, went down 17 points. Relationships among staff went down 12 points. Professional development went down 4 points. Engagement went down 3 points. School safety went down 2. So that indicates, it's one more after that, Alex. That indicates that there's a potential disconnect in the adult professional climate despite positive student experience. And so I'm wondering out loud if that has something to do with some of the recidivism this year with some of the teachers. All right, Thrively. I brought that in at the several years ago. I tried it in my classroom, and when I became PBIS coordinator, I started promoting it amongst all teachers. And so we were able to get to 42% of students taking the strengths assessment. And what that does, it says what's right with the student. Top 5 things that are right with you. Let's look at that. And you will see across the school, this is summary, flexibility, analytical, and resilience. And I will tell you, I think flexibility and resilience is related to our low socioeconomic situation here in Barstow. There's a lot of low socioeconomics, and so students have to be flexible and resilient, otherwise they're not going to make it. You can see sports for the top interests, music and creative arts. And so I would encourage you guys to adopt Thrively because it not only helps students tell them what's right with them, it helps teachers make connections. And this is one of the features that they have is you can drag your students into these different relationship circles as a teacher, and it tells you, and then the administrator can see, oh, there are 4 students or 100 students in the distant zone that aren't even touched. We need to reach out to them. And it's a way to kind of make sure the community that we are shepherding or, you know, cultivating is taken care of. All right. We got PBIS silver last year, and Miss Shanda said we qualify for silver this year. I turned in the application. They said, oh, there's this one little glitch. I fixed the glitch, and it's on track for us to get silver next year. And hopefully Mr. Navarro will be able to go get that award in August. So items holding us back from getting gold is the next one. So we have a school-wide procedure for responding to inappropriate behavior, and it's that sign. But the explicit teaching of what's on that sign is lacking. These are like specific things that every teacher should do in every class. And so that's something we need to work on. Next one. One of the nice things that the district has done, though, is they've taken some of those things that are holding us back from gold and have already addressed them. And so I'm really grateful to you all for your leadership in that area, because OTR stands for opportunities to respond, giving students more time to talk in class. And so there's been training for professional development at different staff meetings through the year. BSP, behavior specific praise. This is the one where you're saying, hey, yes, you already logged in and the bell hasn't even rang. Good job. And saying it nice and loud in front of everybody so that they know that other people know what to do. And that also is a form of errorless correction. It's like you're basically saying, this is what I'm looking for. And so that is another area that we have addressed, and hopefully teachers start to use more and more of. And so this website is delving more into the formal process for student behaviors. And so I built a website to kind of help with the transition to the new PBIS coordinator. I put in all the lessons that I learned this year, and as well as lesson plans to give teachers at the beginning of the year that will help improve our status from silver to gold. And if we teach those lessons, it's basically like pride lessons. Pride as in preparation, respect, integrity, determination, excellence. Those are our 5 Barstow High goals. And so those are on that website. One of the first things on this new formal behavior is IEP accommodation. So what happens is a teacher will have a conflict with a student, and it's at the beginning, it's August. So we really don't know, the teacher doesn't really know if, who that student is, and they're just like butting heads. And so this is one of the areas that we need to work on at Barstow High, and probably even wider, is implementing IEP accommodations. So say Ruben is a second language learner, and say he's on an IEP. So he needs extra supports. The teacher for the first month, maybe more, won't be able to have the time to look that up and figure that out. And so there might be an immediate response of discipline. Okay, get out of my classroom, go to the principals. I'm writing you a referral, I'm calling home. You can't talk like that in here. Oh, he's not leaving. Back up. Okay, we need some campus monitors. Can you come escort this gentleman out of the class? So that's kind of the reality of how it is in the class sometimes, where it's just quick to discipline because there's not that background understanding. And so one of the things I'm gonna propose here is one of the policies that you guys released this year was the AI policy. And so this might be a little controversial, but I'm going to dive into it because I think you need to hear it. We have this silo. So if you look, we have IEPs and 504s on a long spreadsheet. It's like 400 or 500 rows, and teachers are expected to scroll through that list, find their students, pull them out, look at each one of their IEPs, pull those out, and then go to a separate Excel spreadsheet of English language learners and go through those. It doesn't say which language they are. Is this the right name? There's no ID in this list. And so can you see kind of the challenge the teacher faces to just figure out what's going on with the student? And since Infinite Campus, teachers aren't allowed to see that stuff, and there isn't like a centralized way of tracking all these students with extra supports besides these 2 spreadsheets, teachers are kind of left until like by the end of semester 1, we're like, oh, that's why we're having so many issues. This student has an IEP and he's an English language learner, but doesn't want to say it because he's embarrassed or whatever. And so we have 180 students. I had one class this semester that had 68% of students were needing extra support. And guess when I found that out? At the beginning of semester 2. Right when you guys, when the district opened up AI and they hadn't had a policy yet, I kind of, I'm a pioneer. So during that window when we had AI and no AI policy, I went in and I took that spreadsheet and I took those 2 spreadsheets and I asked AI, not public AI. Okay, so back up, time out. So you're like, well, red flag. Okay, so there's a difference, and I'm going to explain it here. There's enterprise AI, which is kind of like the same kind of protections that you have with Google Drive and OneDrive. All of our data is siloed. It's not used to share with other places. And so there's this thing called enterprise AI. It's extra secure. Then there's like these public AIs, like, there's a public version of ChatGPT. There's a public version of Gemini. There's a public version of the Microsoft version. And so I didn't use any of those public versions. I used our district enterprise AI. Okay, so I took my roster and I shared it to the enterprise AI, and I took my 2 lists of Excel spreadsheets and I said, please figure out which ones are my students and what supports they need. And it took a few hours to kind of work through the bugs, but it gave me this amazing list, and that had, okay, period 1, you have these students. Here's the reports they need. Here's the languages. Here's the language that they speak. And this is the percentage of students in that class that need extra supports. I was like, why couldn't I have this at the beginning of the year? This would have helped so much. And so I want to say there are other districts that are using this. Menifee Union School District is using it. Oakland is using it. San Diego is using it. Corona Norco is using it. I have reports in this presentation that are linked. You can go look it up. I was so excited about it. I used to be the tech coordinator, so I created this video for all staff, and I was so ready to publish it and share it with everybody. But I made sure with IT, I was like, hey, IT, what do you think of this video? And they said, we're about to publish this AI policy that says you can't do that. So I would just hold off. So I was like, oh, okay. I spent 2 weeks making this video, and I'll just put it on pause, and I'll bring it to the board, and hopefully they can change it. Because let me go to the next slide here. There's a difference between public AI and enterprise AI. Public AI, the inputs are harvested to train other models. Enterprise AI is strictly prohibited. Inputs are isolated. The PII, which is personally identifiable information of the students, is safe. It's like if you had a spreadsheet it's like the same spreadsheet we had of all the students' names and IDs of who needs supports. That's on the cloud. That's on our enterprise cloud of Google Drive and OneDrive. So it just doesn't make sense why we can't use an enterprise AI to do that. So here's the next slide. PII status, public information. If you set a policy that says, okay, you can't use any public AIs or free AIs with student information at all, and if you do, you're fired, right? But you can use it with these ones, and you say, okay, Copilot, Enterprise Copilot, you can use, and Enterprise Gemini you can use, but nothing else. And so if you set something like that up, the data ownership is District LEA guaranteed by AB 1584, Assembly Bill 1584. Check it out. Model training, inputs are never used to train models. It's CSDPA approved. Irvine is doing that. San Diego is doing that. And guess what? It's not only helping teachers in the classroom, it's helping them with their bus schedules, their master scheduling, their HVAC on and off systems. I mean, it could help so much if you said you can use AI with only enterprise AI, but not public AI. So I have several slides in here about that. I hope you check it out later on. The company is legally liable to protect our information just like they do on Google Drive. And it would be a game changer, not only for staff and districts employees, but for the teachers as well. So that's my stir the pot, get me in trouble part. Let's move on. So we have a PBIS store, and the PBI store is the second year now. The last day we were selling food, we had over 200 orders, people trying to use their PBIS points to get a meal. So In-N-Out and Cane's. So we had like 5 or 6 staff running to these stores back and forth to get all the students meals because they had earned it. They had gotten those points because of good behavior or whatever thing. And so that was super exciting. Water was the single most top selling item, and Gatorade was the next. I think that's related to our water situation at Barstow High, but we're going to get some new pipes one of these days, right? And then Ms. Gibbons actually donated a bunch of stuff to the store. So thank you, Ms. Gibbons. And those also sold really quickly. PBIS rewards, we had 10th graders taking home the most PBIS rewards this year. And then the students, let's kind of switch over to its extra support. These are the students' ethnicities that need extra support this year. So this is defined by IEPs, 504s, and EL status. So we have Latino, Latina, Latinx, and Black African American students. Those were the two that had the two groups that had the most IEPs, 504s, and ELs. Interesting. All right, so one of the big ratios that there's 3 ratios we watch. We watch in PBIS. One is race, ethnicity, one is gender, and one is IEP status. This is why we got in trouble with the state and why they've been looking into our backyard for a long time. And so it's slightly good news because it's not going up a lot. The only one that's going up like by 0.5 is male. Males are getting more referrals than females, and that's good. But the Black risk, Black African American risk went up only 0.05, and the IEP risk went up only 0.01 in this last year. This is 24, 25 on the top, and then 25, 26 on the bottom. That's what that comparison is. So let's wrap this up. So continuous improvement. Here's some final suggestions before I leave. One of the things that I talked to some veteran teachers, and they said, I gave them five areas. I said, which one of these 5 things could improve our school the most? And they said, a bridge summer class. Take the worst students from the most in trouble, not the worst, the students who have the most behavior issues from each of the junior highs, bring them into the high school, give them a face-to-face time with some of the best teachers, the best hands-on teachers, the best student athletes, the best scholars, the best, people who are tough, but not in the way that those students are. It's like a different kind of toughness, mental toughness, a physical toughness. And that, even if it was just like 4-week class, that would start to change the culture right off from the freshmen. Tommy Lawrence has started a literacy initiative this year, and it basically is assigning PBIS points for students who read more. You need to reward that. You need to know about that and say, hey, let's get that guy some support. But he's already been whisked away to be the new ASB ASB lead. And that just sucks up all your time. So I asked him, how are you going to do both? He's like, I'm going to make it work. I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. All right. And then Shonda Barella has been super this year. Awesome support. And she noticed that we don't have very much tier 2 and 3. Tier 2 and 3 basically means if we have most of the students at the bottom of this pyramid, then you have like a tier 2 and 3 is like this really tiny top part. They need extra supports. They need check in, check out with specific teachers. They need constant behavior help. And so we are going to try to get into that, but that needs more support. We probably need special attention for that. All right. Here's another big one that would help a lot. We have a lot of field trips, a lot of activities. You saw the numbers, but we don't have that many support. I was able to make a spreadsheet of volunteers that had been cleared by the district, and it was a total of 20, maybe 20 and they can't do everything, and some of them are not available all the time. I talked with John Rader at Barstow Community Hospital and asked him if they would be willing to provide free TB testing for volunteers. Guess what he said? Our hospital would love to do that. Let's set it. We'll do it 1 day a year for Barstow High School, Barstow Unified. And so I'm like, okay, let's do it. But there's some communication. I didn't tell you guys that until now, but now I am. But if you would lower the hurdles that volunteers have to jump through to be a part of the school system, and that would be amazing. But right now they have to pay for their own TB test. They have to pay for their own fingerprinting, and then they have to come to a 2-hour meeting, which is like once a month. And I've had a friend. He's been trying to get through all those hoops for a year, and he's just struggling because he works a job full time, and it's just really hard for him to be a volunteer with all these extra things in place. So one of the things you as the board could do is say, here's free TB testing, here's free fingerprinting, here's the place to come do it. Let's do the training at the same time. Hey, you're in. So once they're in, we can have a lot more people lined up for any school in the district to be able to say, oh, we need some extra volunteers for this field trip because we can't send 10 teachers on a field trip. We need to have teachers at the school teaching classes, right? So, all right. And then this last one is the Parent Teacher Association. Some of you may know that I proposed doing that, and after leaving, I'm still planning or wanting to do that. And I've talked to some people who said that they would be willing to help out with it. And so a parent teacher association that could bring in the millions and help out with all these different things that schools need money for, like field trips and activities and transportation. You know, the state is cutting education budgets, and we need other areas to step up. So anyway, that's I just want to say our goal is our goal is to listen to our community partners on what's important for them to improve our school, improving our PBIS culture, providing adequate training to our teachers and staff, and using data effectively to make decisions will guide the direction of Barstow High for the years to come. We continue to appreciate all of your support to provide Barstow High, to help Barstow High achieve its goals. So I want to say great. I'm grateful to you guys. Thank you for standing in the gap, even when it's hard, even when there's a lot of complaints from parents and a lot of fighting back from certain people. I really appreciate you guys choosing to be in leadership, because you have a lot of influence to just say this is how it's going to be and make it better. And so I've seen that this year. You guys are making things better. So any questions for me before I step down?
Can we clap for her?
All right.
I didn't have a question, it was more just of a comment. I just wanted to say thank you for kind of presenting the information, and it's not always going to be perfect. You know, we've all established that we are, you know, moving in the right direction, but everything's not perfect. But the only way, you know, the more information that we have on what's really going on, you know what I mean? Then that can inform us, and hopefully we can make better decisions and kind of push everything forward. So I definitely appreciate just at least saying it.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
I want to say thank you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I can wait.
No, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Just thank you for everything that you're doing, to Ms. Bowser as well, and Sandra and Ms. Santos. The meetings are very informative, and thank you for inviting me to participate. I have students in the district, so I'm there with many hats on when I attend, but it's just so impressive. I'm so excited, and I'm sad to see that you're leaving because you're on to something so good. So don't forget about us, and just thank you for everything you've done.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I want to say thank you, Tim. I can remember when you first got to the high school, and you know, you're a real good father. You get your little beard going for being father, you know, Santa Claus for your kids. I seen you work with a kid I worked with, Dimitri.
Yes, Dimitri.
He was kind of a little tough kid to work
got
with.
through.
But you know, you stuck with him, and you know, he respects you. I respect you. Sorry to see you leaving. You know, you've been great for the community, for the students, for the parents. And I just want to say thank you for being my friend. Thank you for taking care of the kids. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me.
Anyone else?
What are you going to be doing at Barstow College?
I'm going to be full-time faculty teaching in the CTE area, specifically the CBIZ program, which is Computers Business Information Systems. So cybersecurity, drones, makerspace stuff, networking, that kind of stuff. So
Good stuff. That drone is a new program too. It's a new program they're doing, right?
I'm writing the drone program this summer. So, yep.
Good. Anybody else? Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Next, we have athletics end of the year overview.
Good evening. I want to share with you some of the goals that I've had for the last 5 years and kind of an overview of this past year. My first goal was to unify our program vision with continued progress toward a vertical aligned athletic program from junior high through high school. a focus on a shared vision, culture, and consistent program expectations. We have worked to connect all sports so that they can create a continuity and stronger programs. Our goal number 2 is to increase student participation. Last year, we had 868 student athletes register on home campus, and that includes Barstow High School, Barstow Junior High, and STEM. And we wanted to expand opportunities for student involvement across all levels. We continue to increase student participation throughout the district each year. Goal number 3, wanted to have coaching and program alignment. We have 90 coaching positions that we fill, and we have a strong alignment supported by coaches serving both the junior highs and the high school levels. For football, we have coaches at the high school who coach Barstow Youth Football, and Barstow Youth Football coaches coaching at the high school. In cross country, volleyball, boys and girls basketball, track, and boys and girls soccer, we have coaches that coach both at the high school and at the junior high. And I think we've made big strides in that area. Our goal number 4 is the team offerings. We have 52 total teams that are supported district-wide in all 3 levels. This includes Barstow High School, the freshman, JV, and varsity programs, and Barstow Junior High and STEM with their JV and varsity programs. This past year, we've supported over 500 athletic contests, either at home or away, which includes transportation at home, and it includes supervision, setting things up. So we're doing our best to offer these programs for our kids. 5th goal was to improve sportsmanship and representation. Our goal was to have a high level of professionalism and sportsmanship displayed across all programs. To have a positive representation of the Barstow Unified School District at all events. We've been working with the principals and the school administration at Barstow High School, Barstow Junior High, and STEM, and we're committed to this goal. And I think we made great strides in doing that at all of our athletic events. Goal number 6 is I wanted to expand programs. This year, we successfully started our track program at Barstow Junior High and Barstow STEM Academy, and it was a strong inaugural season with standout performances at league finals. In addition to track, in the last 5 years, we started volleyball, cheer, and wrestling at STEM, and that was a big success. I loved our STEM cheerleaders last year. Goal number 7 is to have some competitive success. Barstow Junior High and STEM earned multiple league champions this past year, championships. Barstow High School's team qualified for CIF postseason in football, volleyball, tennis, cross country, basketball, wrestling, and soccer. And of course, our historic achievement for football, where we were league champions, regional champions, and state champions. I believe that we've made great strides in achieving all these goals, and I'm looking forward to the future. I do want to talk to you about some of the challenges that we face ahead. One of the biggest challenges is going to be the increased cost of things. The biggest thing, in my opinion, is the cost for game officials and referees. Last year, with Barstow High School, Barstow STEM Academy, Barstow Junior High, we paid over $41,000 for officials and referees. And that money is paid out of the gates that we receive from all of our athletic events. So those are student paid fees. So all the money that we're making off of the games, we're paying to these referees. And that kind of cuts back on like the tournaments that we could play in, some of the extra things that we could be buying out of that money. So that's probably going to be our biggest challenge, over the next few years, because I only see things increasing. In all of our meetings, they talk about, hey, next year, we're going to have to raise prices because people don't want to do it for this much. We pay travel for every referee for every game. So those costs are definitely increasing. The next one is the increased dues that we have to pay before we even start a match, before we even have a game. CIF Southern Section has doubled their dues this year.
Wow.
So last year, I think they were 1,800. This year, they're 3,700. So like CIF Southern Section dues are $3,700. CIF State dues are $1,700. Desert Sky League dues are $1,800. And the HDL-AL, the Junior High League STEM, is $1,650, and Barstow Junior High is $1,650. So these fees, they cost a lot for us before you even start. It puts a burden on the schools. It puts a burden on our athletic teams. So that's something that I wanted to present to you so that you knew that, and maybe it would help us make decisions in the future. Other than that, I just want to thank you and see if you have any questions for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, you said it was $41,000 for referees and stuff?
Yes.
And then we have a big shortage like for officials for football too. That's why we play on Thursdays and Fridays, and it's hard to find qualified, blind people to referee for us.
Yeah, it increases every year. They get paid a certain amount, and then they get paid travel pay, and it just adds up. And
I'm just kidding. It's a hard job for them. I've done it, and I don't like anybody second guessing me. And then like the dues, I think I mentioned it last year too. What do we get for the dues? We just say you belong to CIF, and that's practically kind of.
I don't know. It's kind of like saying, what do we get for our taxes?
Yeah, I got it. But I just want the people out there.
It's kind of a lot of different things. They do sponsor all of the CIF events, the plaques that we get, there's a lot of different things. They do have people that work full time for them. So it goes into that. They do have a budget that it's an enormous budget, and they put it out every year, what they spend it on, but it's a lot of different things.
And then another thing about the transfer, the protocol, like back, I remember when we were coaching, it was illegal for a kid to go from one school to the other. And then I guess CIF just threw their hands up and says they're losing too much money fighting it. So if a kid wanted to come from Oak Hills to Barstow High School, they just let them do it now?
No, you have to have, you can move from one school to another. And if it's your first one, you have a sit out period. You would have to sit out half of the season. If you can prove that you as a valid change of residence from one school to another, and your family moved, and you can prove that by bills and things, you can move at any time you want to.
Without sitting out half a year.
Right.
So, it's been a while since I've been in there.
Unless I don't want to talk.
I just feel I'm only one person, but I feel if a kid wants to go to another school, they just let them go. You know what I mean?
My personal feeling, that's how I always felt. If you don't want to be here, then it's probably good that you go.
See you later.
But if they're 6'10" and they can.
And I'm against the poaching. We've had somebody poach our kids, and and that's just it's one thing when the kid wants to go, but when there's an adult involved contacting somebody that's 15 years old without the parents' consent, I think that's pretty low down. I think that's just I wouldn't have it if I was a parent. You know what I mean? And anyhow, I just want to thank. I went to a lot of the girl basketball games this year, and of all the improvements in the sports, that program improved a lot. You know what I mean? I can remember I went to the first playoff game. I went to most all the home games, But the first playoff game, they played some team out of Pasadena, I believe. It was some girls team. They came, they tried to beat us up and stuff. And our girls, they just went with them and pushed them around too. And it was an awesome game. I mean, I thought I was going to get thrown out of the out of the gym by one of the referees and stuff. But that program really changed a lot. You know what I mean? For the better, you know. And I just want to. You see the coach pat him on the back for me, and you know, and I've talked to a couple of players and parents, and they agreed with me and stuff. So, thanks, Vince.
Anyone else?
I just also want to say thank you. I mean, for everything, and it kind of, I don't know if this was planned or just like a reoccurring thing here. But just kind of everybody, like you guys are all definitely leaving some big shoes to fill for the next group that's going to come in. Just kind of open to everybody. I see a few of you out here. Just saying thank you again. I know you guys have all done a large service to the community and to the districts. Thank you.
I just want you to know that, you know, from your first briefing to this one, we haven't forgotten anything you said. Trust me. That $41,000 bugs most of us up here. We've talked about it. We've discussed it. We don't know which way we're gonna go, but yeah, we've asked the questions, and we're gonna see. Trust me, we've sat up here and listened to everything you said, and all of us have raised our concerns, you know, about that. So yeah,
Appreciate that. Thank you.
we're looking at it, and thank you for all your years. You know, like you said, big shoes to fill, right? Yeah,
It's been a pleasure. I want to thank you all.
Thank
I want to leave you with this. I was talking to Mr. Freya just a little while ago. He says, when you retire, every day's a Saturday. Well, my first Saturday is this Saturday.
There you go. All right, moving on. Approval of the minutes. 1 September 2023, no, 2025. September 23rd, 2025, regular board meeting minutes. Recommend the Board of Trustees approve the minutes for regular board meeting on September 23rd, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have October 14th, 2025, regular board meeting minutes. Recommend the Board of Trustees approve the minutes for the regular board meeting of October 14th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, regular board meeting for October 28th, 2025. I will have to abstain from that. Recommending the Board of Trustees approve the minutes. Where am I at? Yeah, there we go. Approve the minutes for the regular meeting on October 28th. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Call for vote.
Aye.
One abstention.
And one abstention, myself. Meeting November 18th, 2025, regular board meeting. Ms. Brea, you're gonna have to abstain from this one?
I'm not sure. I can't remember. What was the date again?
18th of November.
It's very possible I wasn't here.
Yeah.
We verified all of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Recommend the Board of Trustees approve the minutes for regular board meeting on November 18th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstention.
One abstain. December 9th, 2025, organizational board meeting. Recommended the Board of Trustees approve the minutes for the organizational board meeting on December 9th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
December 16th, special board meeting. Recommend the Board of Trustees approve the minutes for the special board meeting on December 16th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
January 13th, 2026, regular board meeting. Recommend the Board of Trustees approve the meeting for the regular board meeting on January 13th, 2026. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. The board meeting is a meeting of the board held in public forum to comply with the Brown Act. It is not a town hall meeting with the board. This is the time for citizens to present problems or questions they feel the board should discuss. Individuals are encouraged to address the full board and not individual board meeting. The law prohibits the board from taking any action on items not on the agenda. Request to speak card should be filled out in advance and presented to the superintendent's executive assistant. Instruction for submitting remote public comment can be found on our website, busdk12.com, under the tab Board of Trustees. The board has a policy limiting any speaker to not more than 3 minutes. The board limits the total time for public input for each item or topic to 15 minutes or 5 individuals request to speak. The president may review and submit requests to speak or take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue, and may ask for additional speakers to speak only if they have something new to add. Citizens who have comments on or against a particular issue may be asked to provide a written statement for the record or sign an agreement with the written comment for another citizen. All names are memorialized in minutes. With the board's consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. For the record, please state your name.
We have one tonight, and it is an invitation to the MCLB Back to School event on, Mr. Adam Diaz is here to discuss that.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. President, board members, cabinet, superintendents, and guests as well. My name is Adam Diaz, and I serve as the school liaison for the Marine Corps Logistics Base here in Barstow through Marine Corps Community Services. My role is to support military-connected students and families by helping them navigate school transitions, connecting families with educational resources, and strengthening partnerships between our military installation and local school districts. I would like to thank the board, the district leadership, and staff for their continued support that you provide for the military-connected students and to our community. The partnership between our schools and military community plays an important role in student success. I would also like to extend an invitation to the board members and district representatives to attend our Back to School Brigade event on July 29th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Conference Center on base. This annual event provides school supplies and backpacks to military-connected students and is a resource fair to help families prepare for the upcoming school year. The installation is grateful for the support our local school districts have provided in past years and look forward to continuing that partnership. Thank you for your time and for your continued support in students in our community.
Well, thank you. Any questions? Yes.
You said it's July 29th?
Yes, ma'am. The last Wednesday of July.
And where's the location?
The James L. Day Conference Center on Marine Corps Logistics Base.
This is behind Walmart, like right there.
Correct, yes.
And if we attend, do we need to bring anything or need volunteers?
Just yourselves. If you'd like to volunteer, you're more than welcome to. We have a coordinator on base that will help to gather the information and collect the list of volunteers that will help us out to set up the event, to collect school supplies. We're sponsored by Operation Homefront this year. So I'll be traveling to 5 Dollar Trees across the high desert to collect school supplies through the month of July.
You guys are set, or do you guys need more supplies for the event?
It's hard to tell right now since most of the school supplies are provided through Dollar Tree. I don't know until I start doing the collections week by week.
Okay. I'd like to stay in tune and attend and support. So this is exciting. Thank you for inviting us.
Oh, for sure. Yes, absolutely.
Same here. Love to. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you so much. Next, we have staff reports. Nutritional service report.
Yes, our Director of Nutritional Services, Veronica Calderon.
Good evening, board members and cabinet members, assistants, everyone. I am simply here to do a short closing report because I know you guys are ready to go home. Some things that I wanted to share with you are some of our successes. Definitely without saying, it goes without saying, with all of your support, our administrative team, we were successful in transitioning all but one position to straight shifts, meaning no split shifts within our department. We've also created 11 newly benefited positions to support the growing needs of our department. Again, it was with your support and your approval that made that happen. So I greatly appreciate that. Our team greatly appreciates that. We ended the year generating an additional $177,091 and still have the month of June to bill out all of our meals that we are serving in the month of June. With the support of the departments within business services, we are now working on continual repairs and updates within the high school kitchen, with replacing flooring in the main kitchen areas. We are replacing equipment and doing additional replacement of fixtures and updating to ensure that we are enhancing our overall student services and providing a clean working environment for all of our team members. Additional plans will be also coming for next summer. We plan on working on the main dining hall area of the high school with plans on replacing the flooring, painting, and just enhancing the overall experience for our students. A big, huge thank you to the Director of Maintenance and Operations. He has been a huge help, huge support, along with Mr. Beaton supporting those endeavors and trying to just go school by school and seeing what we can do in those kitchens for the students here in Barstow. At the end of the year, we were able to fully exhaust some kitchen infrastructure and training grants. We have fully exhausted that on different professional development trainings, as well as replacing equipment that has reached its end of life cycle or is near their end of life cycle. So we are replacing different milk coolers, fridges, freezers throughout our entire district. Those items have started to arrive, and so we are working on getting those installed and taking out all of the old ones. We have also received additional funding for the 26-27 school year, which we are doing some strategic planning with those funds and trying to utilize those to support the ongoing growing needs of our department. Some of the items that we are looking to secure is going to be 2 refrigerated box trucks so that we can support the transportation of food and keep those maintaining the food safety during the transportation of any cold products. We've additionally launched our summer school programs and other summer school or summer meal programs. In 2023, I'd just like to highlight that we had only 4 staff members that wanted to support in the endeavors of supporting summer school food service. And as of this school year, we had 15 department members that signed up to support all of our summer meal efforts, including our summer school breakfast and lunch programs, as well as our after-school CACFP champions supper programs, doing weekly meal kits, and extending daily feeding to the students and children in our community. As I shared in our last report, one of the things that we have done is we've successfully launched salad bars and topping bars at our high school. We are working on the next school year, bringing that down to the secondary level. We have successfully soft launched a salad bar at the junior high, and it is serving about 100 students, and they are fully taking advantage of all the fresh fruit and vegetables with our high school lead Christina Williams taking the lead there. And so that has been an amazing thing to witness. And knowing that we serve about 400 kids during the normal school year, knowing that 100 kids are already faithfully utilizing that is amazing. And I can already see that that's going to be a benefit and a success in the near future. With summer meals, one of the opportunities that I wanted to try to do is create a welcome carnival or barbecue launch, something of that sort that we see neighboring districts doing. Unfortunately, that was an event that takes a lot of hoops to jump through with securing a public facility. So in anticipation of next school year, my hope and goal is that in partnering with the city or looking at a local public event that maybe we can join. I was actually doing a little bit of brainstorming with Mr. Beaton this morning in how we could potentially get that pulled off. With a public event being the magnitude that I'm projecting of it to be, we would need city approval, different permits, facility use permit agreements, potentially way of transportation, security. So potentially police blocking off some of the streets, additional facilities, hand washing stations. So there's a multitude of things that would need to happen for something like that to be able to be completed, as well as a walkthrough with the fire marshal so that we can have an open flame. So there's a lot of logistics to cover. So my plan is that come the fall, my focus will be on that to try to get a good launch for next year's summer meals. That's all I have to share.
It's easy to do, trust me.
Oh, yeah?
Do it all the time. It's easy to do.
Easy to do.
Easy to do.
So we'll get it done. That's a goal. I'd like to, get our team broadcasted on the local news or something. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But no, and one of the things just that I have been humbled and been able to witness is the great need in this city. Just serving our students in a public capacity with having their families come in, even teens coming to get meals. Honestly, I think two of the teens really struck me because you don't typically see teens coming to schools, at least I haven't in the summer, trying to get meals. And just their humbleness, their appreciativeness really tugged at my heartstrings. I honestly think I'll be a forever lunch lady. Like, that's just something that I am very passionate about. And I am humbled by my team who came out and supported. More than half of our team members out there giving out meals, and they are just amazing. And I'm honestly blessed to be a part of their team. So thank you. Thank you for all your support, and good luck on your retirement. Any questions?
I think it's an amazing thing. That event you want to do, easy done. We can work that. I talked to Mr. Beaton about it. It's easy. I do it all the time. But your summer meal program, what are the days again? I remember I've seen the flyer, but I can't remember the days.
So Mondays, we're doing weekly feeding. That's going to be at the high school in the parking lot. And so if there's traffic there, I apologize.
Do you need help?
I mean, if you want to show up.
I would love to show up.
Welcome.
I would love to show up.
So this last week went very well. We reconfigured. It's always a learning experience, right? First time was a little bit of, trying to configure how everything is going to flow. And so definitely had some learning opportunities, reconfigured, and this last week went very seamless. So next week, I am hopeful that it's going to go just as seamless. So
that's a tough deal to do. It's very difficult. Food distribution, it is.
Yeah.
And I commend you guys for taking it on. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I just had one thing. If we actually you do get it totally going, if on the district end, if we could couple with that I know the beginning of the school year is always very difficult as far as getting our 2 surveys back every year. I don't know if that's something that could be done, but just an idea that if we have a whole giant line full of parents that are doing nothing but standing in line, we could all be filling out, like we have is it the title, the two different surveys that every,
The LCAP survey, the tile surveys. We also have updates to their
I mean,
Infinite Campus and
if everyone is there, I mean, it would just,
yeah,
could be an,
opportunity.
if they're literally standing in line waiting for food, you know what I mean?
We can bring a wagon and have water and everything for them, and yeah.
Clipboards.
Yeah, hey, and clipboards. We did the pop-up last year, so it's
Yeah, that's let me tag on that. And that is something that we actually tagged in with the Sunbuck Universal Benefit applications. So while parents were in line, we gave that out in hopes of trying to increase the return of those applications and just bringing awareness to families. So it's definitely something else. And then I'm sorry, I actually forgot mentioning one thing. We did do a 8th grade barbecue for the 8th graders at the junior high. And there was some learning opportunities there as well, in addition to the picnic. And by the way, thank you board members for all your support and jumping in and just helping. I was a little, a little bit frazzled at the beginning, but we got it together and you guys, definitely supported and made that happen. One thing that I did learn, cooking that volume of food is a lot. So I'm even strategically planning for that, taking the burgers pre-cooked, wrapped up in a warmer, because realistically, trying to cook 1,000 burgers is, it's hard work.
Easy day.
So,
You got it done.
not that we're afraid to do it, but definitely need some planning and forward thinking. So it was a blessing in disguise, silver lining. I always try to look for that, I learned some things along the way so that we can plan for an event such as that. And definitely with community partnerships, we can make something like that happen.
cool. Yeah, love to.
Thank you.
Love to help out. Yes.
I just wanted to commend you on what you're doing. The food distribution.
Well, it's definitely a team effort. So thank you. I
And
share that with my team.
It just blows me away that you're getting, was it junior high?
Salad bar.
Salad bar?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Yes.
See 100 students show up to eat salad. It's kind of mind-boggling a little bit.
Yeah, and it's going 100%. Pair that tahini and the kids are just eating it.
There you go.
But you're doing a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All the departments for the school district are very important, but food services, right there with them. I mean, at the top, I've worked with kids, underprivileged kids, and they talk about what they're eating at school, and they're really happy, of what they're being, their choices. And I shared with you last time that when I was going to school, sometimes that was the only thing I ate, so,
Yeah.
Okay.
I
I got you.
Okay, thank
But
you.
we're hearing a lot of those stories. And like I said, it's definitely been a very humbling experience. So thank
The
you.
need is real in this community. I agree. Yes, it is.
I just want to say thank you too. You did an amazing job with the picnic. But one of the things I heard you say was a few years ago that there were 4, team members that were signing up, and now, that's like tripled almost. I'm not good with math, but it's a lot more people. And I just want to say, that's a testament to your leadership, right? And I've noticed as you speak, you always say a lot about your team. You're always saying me, my team and I and my team. So I just want to say thank you for all you do. And thank you for recognizing that it is a team effort, but you're amazing and just keep it going. We appreciate you so much. Thank you.
One more thing, how are you gonna do it without Tammy next year?
You're gonna make me cry already.
Don't let her go.
No, I know, right?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. She'll be here one more year. So we
right.
got 1 year. Edit together.
All right, next we have the Williams third quarter report.
Yes, Mr. Godfrey.
Yes, for the third quarter of 25-26 fiscal school year, San Diego County Superintendent of Schools evaluated 6 Phase 2 schools in the BUSD to monitor compliance with the Williams settlement. Overall, the district demonstrated high compliance in the areas of instructional materials and school accountability report cards. Facilities, there were 4 facilities that had 0 findings. There were 2 that had some, and we were also compliant in teacher monitoring. The school-specific findings, there were 0 deficiencies at Barstow Junior, Henderson Elementary, Lenwood Elementary, and Montera Elementary. The 2 schools that did have facility deficiencies were Cameron, things like damaged, loose, missing, or stained ceiling tiles, broken or damaged permanent furniture, damaged, broken, missing, or unsecured fixtures, malfunctioning sink, non-functioning elevator/wheelchair. Skyline North as well. A couple of findings: empty menstrual product dispensers and significant cracks. Trip hazard, holes, or deterioration on the school grounds. And for each of these findings, there were work orders put in, and the work is continuing to be completed and will be part of the school accountability report cards for the next school year.
Good. Any questions? No. Thank you, sir. The Title IX has been moved to the 23rd. So next we will have the superintendent's report.
Thank you. I'm going to change that to good evening, board members, staff, and guests. I hope everyone is enjoying this summer and more specifically summer break. I attended all graduation and promotion ceremonies, beginning with the adult education and culminating with Barstow High School. I enjoyed seeing the excitement in all of our promoting and graduating students. It was obvious that each of our promoting and graduating students felt a deep sense of pride in their achievement. There were many family and friends in attendance to watch their loved one or loved ones walk across the stage and receive their certificate or diploma. Congratulations to all of our students who have finished the school year and will continue their journey with BUSD, attend Barstow Community College or other educational institutions, enlist in the military, or find immediate employment. May your journey lead to lifelong happiness. Summer school is off to a great start. We have elementary students attending Barstow Fine Arts Academy with Principal Malcolm Norman or Cameron Elementary School with Principal Brent Leslie. And secondary students are located at Barstow Junior High School with Principal Martha Reyes. The months of May and June traditionally mark a finality to the school year, allowing educators to reflect on a job well done. It is because of our educators, support staff, and administrators that our students have been provided with the academic skills necessary to move to their next level. Together, we have shared challenges, difficult situations, hard conversations, growth, laughs, smiles, and the unwavering commitment to educating children. To every BUSD staff member, including teachers, custodians, grounds maintenance persons, nutrition service workers, paraeducators, counselors, front office staff, district departmental employees, pupil services, technology, central enrollment, psychologists, board members, directors, principals, assistant principals, deans, school administrative managers, executive assistants, other administrators, assistant superintendents, thank you for the tireless work you have done this school year. You deserve the recognition and appreciation for a job well done. I encourage you to remain curious and always look for your next life-full moment.
Thank you. Report, Mrs. Gibbons.
I don't have much to report on. I appreciate all the reports for tonight. They were very informative, and I think Aaron had mentioned, like, is it a trend that the people that were speaking are retiring? But it's sad to see good energy leave the room. But we just hope that we keep it going and we bring about more positive and more supportive team members. But I don't have a report today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perea.
Well, first of all, I want to apologize for my absence. Gosh, it seems like I missed 2 or 3 board meetings in a row, and I really apologize for that. It wasn't preventable. I want to make a comment about Barstow High graduation. You know, it was brutal.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That was brutal. But you know, one of the things I noticed is that the students were all enthusiastic.
Yeah.
They all had a smile on their face. The wind was just howling. It was cold, and they were having a good time. And I think that's what it's all about. They got an opportunity to walk across that stage and get that diploma and that. You know, I recall when I had that opportunity, and it's an awesome feeling. You know, you got those years have all gone by, and it's also, I think, a time for reflection. You know, I know when I graduated, I have no clue as to what I was going to do, and it just but things kind of fell in place, and so my wish to graduates this year is that they go with the flow, see what happens, focus your attention, and so forth. I also got a chance to attend a kindergarten graduation or promotion, and that was fantastic. It was the weather was much nicer, and and again, the same thing is true of the students and the parents. Happy, smile on their faces, having a good time. And again, that's what it's all about. That's why we're here. Do that, promote that. I hope everybody has a good summer. Been a great school year, I think. And I want to echo the superintendent's thoughts on the job that everybody does for the district. Sometimes you don't hear about anybody, but you see the results, and that's what's important. And so I want to thank everybody for a great school year. Thank you.
Yeah, Deanna, can I read your statement? Well, I want to thank all the staff, you know, from the district office to all the schools, all the employees for a nice school year we had this year. Sure, we had some hiccups here and there and stuff. That's what happens when you have over 6,000 students, over 400 employees. Not everybody's perfect, you know, and you know, and before you start pointing fingers at the Barstow Unified School District, just make sure there's three pointing right back at you into your own fingers. You know what I mean? We're not perfect here, you know, and it was awesome to go to the promotions and for the STEM and for the intermediate school, the junior high, excuse me, and two graduations. And again, the weather was brutal. That's the only way you can explain it. And usually when a kid walks up, he's got a nice little outfit. I comment on it. Hey man, nice thing. And I had my trench coat on. There's a couple kids. Hey man, nice coat. You know, but they were troopers. You know, they got through it. They were really happy and stuff. You know what I mean? And it was kind of tough. You know, and I just got a question that I guess would be to Mr. Gutierrez here. You know, it's for everybody. I don't want to make a negative dialogue with parents or anything like that. This is just for information. I've been involved with helping a few kids, and I was in the emergency card and stuff, you know. And one time, one of the mother Rosie was working at at a store, and he got held up, and they called me to go pick up the kid. You know what I mean? What can you do when you're in the emergency card, and what can you know, you can't look up the kids' grades and all that stuff when you're in the emergency card, can you? You know, kind of like.
That needs to go to Miss Norman. Your question needs to go to Miss Norman, Central Enrollment Director.
It's just contact. We can contact you, but we can't give you like any information, like as far as like it's just contact. You can pick up the kid, like if you're emergency.
Mhm.
That's what it is, emergency contact for you to come and pick up the kid. But you can't look up like the kid's grades or records or anything like that. The mother has to put you on as maybe, a representative in order to get that type of information. Just because you're emergency contact doesn't mean you get that information.
Right. It's information for the public, you know what I mean? It's, and my next one would be there's a confrontation between two students and a parent goes to the school and it's happened twice, getting information from somebody else saying, well, go get the other kid's personal records. Who would answer that question? I mean,
It's also Miss Norman.
Again, Benny just reminded me, the people that's coming in, if you don't have parental rights of a kid, you can't get any information on that kid. You have to have parental rights for that particular individual kid that you're trying to get information on.
again, that's for information for the parents. I mean, because it seems like some people, it wouldn't be, if it was me and someone came to ask for information on my student, the hair on my back would stand up and I don't have no hair on my back. You know what I mean? So
They couldn't get it.
it's only common sense, you know what I mean? And again, I'm not trying to down anybody. And I know parents get excited and, when they come to the schools and stuff. And another thing, when you go to the schools, please go over there, try showing it with a smile, to start the conversation, going in there demanding and stuff like that. It's just not, it's not the way to go about business and stuff, And again, I just want to thank the college staff for setting up the promotions we had up there at the college and providing us with the nice little cushy seats up there on stage. And same thing with the district staff for the high school graduation and central graduation. I know it takes a lot of work. It's from the administrators all the way down. Everybody pitches in, and I know it's a real stressful time. And same thing with the high school. I just want to thank whoever put up that nice cushy seat for me up there. But next time, put a little heater up there so we can get ready for the thing. And all the women there, Deanna and sit up on stage. You guys are troopers. I could see it was pretty cold for you guys up there, and Ray over there. Look, I thought he was going to freeze to death. And
Even describe
but anyways, I hope everybody has a good summer, and there's a lot of swimming pools around, and just enjoy yourself. Thank you for letting me share.
Mr. Heldred, gotcha.
I guess just a little bit more of the same that everyone else has already said. Just reiterating, the graduations and promotions. It's nice to see. I really think that we're starting to build that sense of community back. I know I grew up here a long time ago, and everybody talks about the old Barstow and the sense of community. And whenever I first moved back, it definitely wasn't exactly the same as before, but I can feel it. I can sense it just between, whenever we do the presentations in the boardrooms and how many students and how many parents show up with doing, the employee picnic and seeing how many families are showing up, how many employees, how many kids, at the graduations, the promotions, all these different things, I think is starting to build that community back one piece at a time. So just want to say thank you to everybody for all the work that you're all doing and have done, are doing, and will continue to do to kind of move back in that direction, to build that sense of community back. And I appreciate all the good things that come.
Thank you. Well, it's been a very good year. I've learned a lot from each and every one of you guys. Light bulb moment. There were so many of them, tons of them. New ones every day. And I've learned a lot, and I've talked to a lot of teachers and parents and kids, and that's what we five are up here to do. Be that liaison with the community and help them out. And it's not easy. It's not tough. I love my phone not ringing for the last week and a half. That's great. But I've enjoyed every moment of it. I have. I really, really have. We have some smart people in this district, and they guide you. You go to them, ask questions, they get you in the right place. And I want to thank all of them. Graduation is a great time of year, whether it's being promoted from junior high to high school or graduating from high school, going on to bigger and better things. The excitement on those kids' faces is amazing. It really is. I would say I remember back when I graduated, but I don't. That's a long time ago. But just watching the joy of the kids and the happiness of their families, it's just so rewarding, and it makes what we do very, very rewarding. And I, again, thank the parents. I thank the staff. I thank the superintendent. I thank my fellow board members for making this a wonderful year for me. Learning a lot. Still got a lot more to learn, trust me. But every day I'm learning something new. And by the way, if you haven't been to the farmer's market, you got to go. Because, everybody comes there to see me. But the farmer's market is great if you get a chance to get down there 10 to 2, Dana Park on Sundays. So please come on down. We'd love to have you. And that's it. Have a happy summer. Thank you. Still me, huh? All right. We don't have a student representative?
No,
No?
no student representative.
All right. Next, we have BEA.
I don't believe we have anyone here from BEA.
No. CSEA?
CSEA. Happy summer.
All right. Personnel Commission.
Nor the Personnel Commission.
All right, we'll move to adoption of the agenda. We have corrected copies, K4A2 change and contract or K6, I'm sorry, that is 6. K6, change in contract and assignment of certificated personnel. Corrected copy K2, 6, personnel development, July and August 2026. Anything? No? Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Would anyone like to pull anything, any item from the consent agenda? No? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Yeah, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. We're at the discussion items. Lima 11, resolution number 23. 2526, school board delegation and power duties governing George Gutierrez.
Yes, and this is a resolution that will transfer the delegation of powers and duties of the governing board from the current sitting superintendent, which is myself, to the incoming interim superintendent as of July 1, 2026. He will be authorized as the secretary to the board of trustees to sign district orders, payroll orders, voluntary payroll deductions, journal entries, interfund transactions, and budget transactions, authorization for electronic signature key, authorization to sign notices of employment for certificate employees, classified employees, students, and temporary employees, authorization to sign on revolving cash clearing, and food service accounts, authority to issue purchase orders, authority to sign contracts, basically the key to the castle.
All right.
And it is provided to the board for approval.
Do we have any questions?
Are you ready? Someone once told me heavy's the head that carries the crown. You said key to the castle.
I do have one.
Yes, sir.
Question. We talked about getting somebody for part-time to run George's past office.
Yeah, that'll be a conversation in closed session.
Yeah, well, we haven't talked about it.
Yep.
So.
That'll be a conversation that will be coming up in closed session.
Well, no one's told me about it.
Be a conversation that needs to come up in closed session.
All right. Do I have any other questions? No. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So yeah,
Did you
public
see one
hearing.
opposed?
No opposed.
No
Oh,
opposed. None, no.
Thank you.
Okay. Public hearing 2026-2027 local control accountability plan LCAP. For information, no action. We adjourn for public hearing at 6:59. Mr. Godfrey,
Yeah, once you reconvene.
want to reconvene? That's right.
Going once, going twice.
There you go. We reconvene at 7 o'clock. And we have
Mr. Godfrey will present the LCAP.
Yes, this is a third iteration of a 3-year plan for the 2026-27 school year. Roughly $45 million are budgeted in the LCAP towards actions and services for students. Of that, about 19 million is dedicated to our high need students. That would be the 3 unduplicated count groups: low socioeconomic, English learners, and homeless and foster youth. This LCAP outlines BUSD's strategic roadmap for academic success, developed through an inclusive process involving school leaders, teachers, parents, community partners. It reflects a diverse perspective and data-driven priorities. It's presented to you today as a draft form to elicit any public responses as needed. The framework is structured around 14 goals. The first 3 goals are broad district goals. Goal 1 is academic achievement. There are 25 metrics that measure the academic achievement in our district, across the district, both school-wide, district-wide, all students, and specific student groups. It focuses on increasing 3rd grade reading proficiency, English learner reclassification, A through G certification, and college and career readiness. A cornerstone of this goal is a $4.44 million investment to provide 40 additional certificated positions for K-3 class size reduction. Goal 2 is around family engagement, establishes a centralized family resource and support center with robust translation services to better connect families with necessary resources. Goal number 3 is all about school climate and safety. It aims to provide a safe and nurturing environment by reducing suspension rates and chronic absenteeism rates, which are currently at 49.9%. The key actions include comprehensive counseling, positive behavior intervention and support system, a multi-tiered system of support program to ensure that all of our students are receiving the services they need. Finally, we have 11 schools that are listed as equity multiplier schools. These schools are uniquely tailored to individual school sites to address specific disparities in academic attendance and behavior. And it is centered around a high mobility rate at each site and socioeconomically disadvantaged student rate. The goals include hiring specialized staff such as senior office assistants for attendance outreach, paraeducators for reading literacy, and reading and math intervention teachers to direct support high need student groups, including foster youth, EL, and socioeconomically disadvantaged. Key successes: the district saw strong academic acceleration in early literacy and mathematics at specific sites, and successfully rolled out a PBIS reward system. Focused family engagement and wellness frameworks drove significant reductions in suspension rates over the last 2 years, and a 10.8% drop for foster youth. Some of the challenges include severe staffing shortages and a lack of fully credentialed teachers hindered the full rollout of several initiatives, including CTE, after-school tutoring, targeted reading interventions, and scheduling MTSS meetings. The difference between the budgeted and actual expenditures were primarily driven by significant staffing vacancies. Finally, to proactively combat staffing barriers, BUSD has more than doubled its recruiting efforts and established a partnership to help classified staff earn degrees. Moving into the new school year, action plans have been refined to clarify intended purposes, ensure accounting transparency by uncoupling personnel costs and adjusting specific metrics to better monitor equity gaps for historically underserved student groups. And you do have a infographic as part of your packet, and that's there for your information.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Godfrey, before we move on?
No, just thanks for putting everything together. I
Yeah.
can only imagine I know about that much of it, but I know there's a lot that goes into it, so thank
Well,
you.
I'm happy to report it was definitely a team effort. We had more than myself working on this document. Mr. Douglas Beaton, Dr. Vinnie Williams, Ms. Jamie Fisher, all had a hand in creating the document, so I really appreciate their help.
Thank you.
So stop. Yeah, you guys can clap. I get a clap about it.
Yeah, that's what you need to
Okay, and
recommend that it comes back on the June 23rd
it will come back on the June 23rd meeting.
for approval.
Yes, for board approval, correct.
Yep, for board approval. Next, we have name 4.1, public hearing on 26-27 Barstow Unified School District budget for information only. We adjourn for public hearing at 7:05. Mr. Guthrie. We'll reconvene at 7:06. Mr. Beaton. All right.
I think I'll stand tonight. Give Alex a minute to get us going. Well, before he gets it up there, I can tell you this year, like no other, but the Assembly and the House do not agree with Mr. Newsom. And so this being an election year, June 15th, they're supposed to come together and submit their state budget. I don't see that happening this year. That'll be Monday, I believe. But we'll wait and see, right? There's a lot of
Which means the legislatures won't get paid. Is that correct?
if they have till June 30th. So June 15th is the tentative budget, so they have to at least come to some, this is where they're negotiating. It's supposed to be coming to some good deal, a deal, but there's been a lot of, the governor, all his yes columns and the legislature and the House are both all no on major issues. That's why I did not include some of those decisions in this year's budget. We have 45 days after the budget is adopted to put it into this year's budget, which I'll be showing you. So we're looking at numbers that are based on what's guaranteed, and so we're not promised. So that's why I've taken them out.
Are those Prop 98 encroachment stuff, or are you talking about like the IDEA?
We're talking about the additional super cola, which this should not be super cola.
Right.
We're talking the special ed, enrich. What was the word? Entitlement or not entitlement? I'm sorry. Special ed.
Mandated, not funded programs.
Equalization money. So there's a good possibility that what the governor wants to give us and what the House wants to give us is a lot, there's a big difference. So not to present a budget that's not completely accurate. We're going to use that 45-day adoption period to submit it. So
Which side has the higher numbers for us?
the House,
legislature?
the House and the Assembly, it could be this being an election year for them. They want to make sure that they're counting, look what I did for, right? So, yeah, they have, so Governor Newsom also wants to defer the Prop 98 money, 3.9 billion. Still wants to hold on to that. He made a deal a couple years ago. That's why we're going through this. Glad it's this last year's. Just as as the CBO. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started. This is our, go ahead. I'm Douglas Beaton, your Chief Business Official. I forgot, good evening, board members, superintendent Swearingen, and the rest of the assistant soups staff. So per Education Code 42127, a district electing to follow the single budget adoption process must adopt and submit by July 1st a final budget, which subsequently may be amended within 45 days after the state budget is adopted, and when necessary in response to disapproval of the budget by the county superintendent of schools. So revenues for this year, we plug the numbers into our calculator and the local control funding formula revenue. We're looking at $86,956,790. It's a little increase from last year based on our the ADA and the COLA that was tied to this. Our federal revenue, our state revenue, our local revenues are all about staying the same. So for a total of $123,974,482. I provided the graph for you so you can see what that actually looks like in a pie chart. To see that most of our money is, we're a state aid district, so most of our money comes from the LCFF. Thanks, Alex. Our expenditures, our total expenditures for the year are going to be $132,683,793. You could see that our capital outlay, that 6th column down, decreased. We spent all of our one-time money. So all that's there is our restricted 8150 for capital outlay. As far as our budget goes, so we're planning on we're spent all that one-time money, and so that all those capital projects are ceasing next year. So for our fund beginning balance, we did our estimated actuals, and we are projecting that our beginning fund balance for next year will be $45,934,925. With income and expenditures, we have a projected ending balance of $37,225,614. So the components of that fund balance, we have our non-spendable, that's our revolving cash and our stores, that's $450,000. Our legally restricted, we have $25,616,775,000. That's all our categorical balances. That's what we think we're going to be at the end of the year. We have our reserve for economic uncertainty. That's we're required by state law to hold back 3% just in case the budget doesn't come in like they're thinking, or other catastrophes or what have you. So that requirement is $3,980,514. And then our committed balance, which includes our $5.4 million that we also saved, that we moved from Fund 17 into our committed, is also sitting in there. So that's our $7,178,325. And I also provided a chart there for you so you could see what you can see that most of our ending fund balance is our restricted balance. So If that helps. In order to do a multi-year projection, we have to come up with our assumptions. So listed here, we have our estimated P2 ADA. You can see we've are projecting out that our enrollment's going to decrease over the next couple of years, and in such, the estimated P2 ADA will also decrease. I think we're projecting at a 90% ADA. So if our ADA increases, our budget will increase too. So that is one area to focus on as we go forward, is to if we can bring our students back to where we were 4 or 5 years ago, bringing 92, 93%. COLA for this year is statutory COLA is 2.87. I'm projecting 3% for the next couple of years. I believe the state has it a little higher, or when the legislation's office, there's like 3 different agencies that determine what projected COLA is. I want to stay conservative just to protect the budget and make sure that we're operating conservatively. I've also included the step and column for certificated and classified, projecting what there's usually a 2% increase across the board and 1% for classified. Also, statutory retirement rates are going up for the 27 and 28, 29 years. And then I also like to include the lottery. That's issued to us on a per ADA basis. Restricted is $82 and unrestricted is $190 per ADA. So those are those calculations for you.
I do have just a quick question, and I mean, it may not be necessarily answered tonight, but just a future question, right? Is that we're getting kind of like the dueling sides to this, right? And whenever I say that, I'm talking about our estimated P2 ADA, basically like what our ADA is, how many students do we have and have coming in, right? And we're looking at, slightly declining enrollment. Then we're also looking at all of the pie in the sky, big project. We're going to have 400 million people move to Barstow numbers that was all presented in our facility master plan, right? Of like total build out. I guess just I got kind of an open-ended question, but is like, we've got to project this out 3 years. We're also looking at the facility master plan. And when do we have either an answer and or at least an idea of when we'll have an answer, I guess, of when those are going to kind of start to melt together as far as, the projections, like, so, hey, after, if and when new housing projects start getting built, is that when we'll start to factor that into our projections? Or
we will definitely take it into consideration when we're doing our projections, because it's more of when I see it, I'll believe it, right?
Yeah.
And it would be irresponsible to project. The reason we do a multi-year projection is AB 1200, and we're just projecting the current budget and saying what, everything being the same, can we afford what we decided to do in the first year? That's the main reason for the second and third year. Right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not thinking
it
should be included in this. That wasn't the direction I was headed. I'm just, with it being projected out, you know what I mean? It's just roughly when, I guess, after we actually kind of start seeing the physical developments starting.
Yep. And we could build some of those projections on maybes, but I'd rather not. I would rather wait to see coming, because then you got developer fees that are, all kinds of stuff that's gonna change the world, right? So we'll see what,
Gotcha.
That help?
Yeah.
Okay. So with those assumptions, we make our multi-year projections. As you can see, we can afford our budget currently. We do have a structural deficit that we're working on. With some of the stuff that the budget's going to do is going to help with that. Especially that, special ed costs a lot of money. So the state, bless their hearts, they're doing the right thing finally. It's taken a long time, but they are focusing where they need to focus. So that's going to help the budget going forward. Yeah. So with with that comes the restricted balance detail that I mentioned earlier. We had $25,616,774.63. These are the programs where that restricted balance is projected to end up by June 30th of 27. You got the LCFF equity multiplier 3.6. That the reason that's so high is because they give us the money first and then they allow us to spend it. So we're always, it's, I don't want to say backwards, but it's opposite of what we're traditionally known with. Is usually we get the money up front, or at least we know how much we're going to get. We spend it, we get it, and then we get the cash. On this one, they actually give it to us up front, probably because the state's doing it rather than the federal government. So that's why, but that is why you see that large balance there. We have the classified school employee summer assistance program, learning recovery emergency block grant, our other restricted local. That is our 9010. That's for construction and such. Going on, this is our committed detail. So this is our reserve in the unrestricted general fund. So this year we're going to go into a where our reserves are, we can only have 10% reserves. So it's a law that's been passed around back and forth, being suspended, but this year it is going to be in play. So one way around that is if we commit our reserves, that alleviates that requirement. So that's one of the reasons why we commit the money in this way. So you can see I've committed $2 million for additional COP payment, $1 million for deferred maintenance, $350,000 for the ADA improvements. That money's not going to. We spent that. That's part of that one-time money, so we're not going to be committing any more in there. We have emergency infrastructure repairs, the equipment replacement extraordinary in case we have a couple of old boilers that are not going to last too much longer. So we want to make sure that we have money in reserves to protect that. Retirement costs still increase, and our vacation payout for classified. And then we still have a claim out there that's uninsured, but we are working on finding the insurer for that. So, but we put money there just in case that we have to pay that out. I believe that's it. Thank you. And if there's any other questions.
Alex, could you do me a favor and go back to slide 8? I just want to clarify so it's clear. Slide 8. That is supposed to be 2026, 2027, 2027, 2028, 2028, 2029.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure it's clear to the board that I probably just a typo. The slide before that, the assumptions are 2026, 2027, 27, 28, 28, 29. And so I want to make sure it's clear on the multi-year projections. This is the next year's budget. So it should be 26, 27, 27, 28, 28, 29. And also clear to anyone in the audience or in the community who may be looking at the budget.
It appears I got going. So.
Good.
So are we looking pretty solvent? Are we looking pretty good for next couple years?
Oh, absolutely. We're still in a good financial position, and we'll still be, our interims will still be positive for the next following years.
No layoffs, no.
I don't foresee any layoffs, no. We are looking currently at our positions and our services to find that savings that we need to find savings so we can have a balanced budget. And I'm confident we're going to be able to do that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else?
I just want to say thank you, Doug. All right, good job.
You're welcome. It's always my pleasure. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
will be brought back on the June 23rd board meeting for
Thank you.
approval.
Personal service, name of 6A1, public hearing for provisional internship permits. PIP for educators for the 26-27 school year.
Need to adjourn to a public.
We adjourn to a public hearing at 7:24. Do we have anybody talking to us? No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Mr. Gutierrez will.
Okay.
I
Well,
processed
after
what you
the
said.
no?
Once we come back, once we reconvene,
Got it.
same thing, Mr. Gutierrez will present. Sorry, I had to process what you said.
We'll reconvene at 7:25. Mr. Gutierrez.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Williams. So a diligent search was made to secure fully credentialed for internship ready teachers, and unfortunately none were found. So we presented to the board for approval tonight a provisional internship permit for the named individuals on the list, and all of them have to complete their CSETs. So they're going to be working towards that, and it's allowed under the CTC regulations.
Any questions?
I was just curious are these new staff? Are we bringing them back, or
Yeah,
is
they're
it
new
just
staff.
new? Okay. Thanks.
And this will be brought back on June 23rd?
No, this
no,
is right
no.
now.
This is a vote.
Approval. Yeah.
Oh,
Presented to the board for approval tonight.
Didn't have it. All right. Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Next, the following hearing recommends the Board of Trustees approve the submission of the state of said permit pertaining to specific California teachers' credential requirements. That is,
If you're going to L6A2, then you're going back into a public hearing.
okay, I see what they
They
did.
just, they just
Yeah,
approved
I'm sorry.
L6A1. And now you're on to L6A2.
That's where it went.
Yeah.
It's spread apart so far. Okay.
And so now you're going to a public hearing.
L6A2, public hearing for waivers for educational employed in specific positions not fully meeting California credential requirements for 2026-27. We adjourn for public hearing at 7:27.
And then same thing when we come back.
Hmm?
And then same thing when we come back, Mr. Gutierrez.
Okay. Let's give it a minute. Sounds good. What's up?
It's 7:27. It's totally up to you.
Reconvene at 7:27:45. Mr. Gutierrez.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. So again, this is a variable term waiver, and they must be submitted to the district to solve a temporary certification issue with these all current employees, and they have to meet the English learner requirement through coursework. We've met with all the employees and notified them that they need to continue to progress through this requirement, and the superintendent recommends approval.
Questions?
Not a question, just a comment. I'm just glad to see everyone. I mean, I know they have their, this California state requirement, but just good to see all the names that are on the list. I think it's great programs and opportunities for the students. Like, good stuff.
Yeah, I ditto everything you said there, Aaron. Capital letters, thank.
Anyone else? All right, do I have a motion?
So move.
Second? Oops, all right, you good? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Lima 6B1, supplement assignment, limited team substitute educational services. Recommending the Board of Trustees supplemental assignment to provide additional support to Educational Service Department effective 1 June 2026 through 4 August 2026.
Mr. Gutierrez.
Yeah, thank you. So our Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, Mr. Scott Godfrey, has identified a need to, support the endeavor of passing out the new curriculum and continued curriculum. So the library media assistants will support with that. And so because they're going to be doing work over the summer, it's presented for the board for approval and help us meet a lot of the Williams things that we have to do.
So sorry.
Go ahead.
Are these like gonna be filled like part-time or like hours? Or what exactly are the new, you know what I mean? Are these just extra hours, like, like kind of how teachers teach in summer school, like having the media text and that we have doing that? Are we adding additional like actual employees or what?
So usually what happens over the summer, if you have a 230 employee, they technically can't work over the summer unless the board approves for them to continue to work. So we're gonna employ some of our current library media assistants to support us with that.
Gotcha.
If it was during the regular school year, it would just be on a blue time card. Yeah, so
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your questions.
Yes, thank you.
Anybody else? Yep. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Number 6B2, establishment of classified position 1, low-level specialist. Recommend the Board of Trustees approve the establishment of, didn't I say voltage? I'm sorry. Low voltage, thank you. Low level. Following classified position site indicated. 1, low voltage specialist, 8 hours per day, 260 days per year, range 43, effective 10 June 2026, technology and informational services.
Mr. Gutierrez.
Yes, thank you. So this job description was actually worked extensively with CSCA, and it went through the 610 process. And our Director of Technology and Information Services, Mr. Neil Alak, has identified a need for this low voltage position. And currently we're contracting a lot of these services, so we want to bring them in-house and making sure that, we build the structure within in the system. And so the financial implications are listed there, and the superintendent recommends approval.
Any questions? This is the position we voted on a while back, right?
Yes, in January.
Yeah. All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Mr. Perea, second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? No. Okay. Lima 6B3, CSCA MOU 2526-006, new job description, enrollment technician between Barstow Unified School District and the California School Employees Association. Recommended the Board of Trustees approve CSEA Memorandum of Understanding, MOU 2526-006, new job description, enrollment technician between Barstow Unified School District and the California School Employees Association.
Mr. Gutierrez.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Frangen and Mr. Williams. So this is an MOU presented to the board for approval. We worked extensively in good faith with CSCA back and forth for a long amount of time of negotiations, and I want to thank the CEC employees that are here present today with their patience through that whole process. Thank you. we were able to come to to an agreement. And if you look at the memorandum of understanding, we have 3 positions there that we are modifying their calendar options, and we're also actually reclassifying them with a new title. They're now going from office assistant to enrollment technicians, and they're working the central enrollment supporting Miss Norman, and the superintendent recommends approval for this position. Change.
Right. Any questions?
Sure, they need the help.
And this is the one we talked about a while back.
Yes.
Campaign inclusion. All right. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Next, do we have any item for future board meetings?
No, I brought up a couple. Doesn't seem like no one's listening, so I am not gonna say anything.
Okay. We do not need to go back into closed session. So I will adjourn the meeting at 7:34 p.m.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:34 p.m. All right.
And
Second.
got a
Second.
second. So we need a second to adjourn.
Second, I'm
Thank
sorry. I was gone already.
I believe I have stuff for all of you to sign.
Thank you.
Don't leave, we have stuff for all of us.
All of you.
Don't leave.
Uh,
Yeah, we need to.
I know.
It sounded really classy, so I just.
No, but you know what?
I feel
I'm
what I
looking
want.
at it. I'm reading it going voltage. And I didn't even hear myself say low level.
Oh, I don't-
I literally didn't hear myself.